issues, wealth management, and tax updates. So before I go to our first speaker, I would like to I just want to remind our members we still have other activities coming up, which is including our annual Champion for Charity, which is held every year December 1st to this year, December 1st to the 3rd at Americana, Manhasset. I think our members probably got an email from Itong and talk about this event. Right, so it's very important for our members to be part of the event. So when you do your holiday shopping, all right, so 25% the money you spend will come to ACAP if you register there to ACAP. Right, so it's very important. So that's going to be your contribution to ACAP. So we can bring more activity like this to you. And also in December, we can continue to have our winter CME trip at Florida from December 23rd to 28th. I think you probably got an email also announcing this event. And we're going to get a follow-up email. And if you're interested, you can register and be part of, it's going to be a very nice trip with your family. At the same time, you can also learn from your colleagues. So without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker, Mr. Alfred Vigorito, who is a senior partner of VP PNP law firm, and the first V stands for Vigorito. So he brings 38 years of litigation experience to the courthouse on behalf of clients, and he has been selected by his peer to super lawyer since 2010. Recently, he was elected to the Prestige Litigation Council of America. A native New Yorker, Mr. Vigorito graduated from St. John University, Pace University School of Law. He represents the healthcare profession and all professional insurance programs in all matters, including professional, negligence, disciplinary, regulatory, and transactional. And Mr. Vigorito is a primary trial partner for Westchester Medical Center for the past at least 15 years. That's where we met and become friends. And he represented me when I was a junior attending, so the outcome was very favorable. And I'm really glad and honored to have Mr. Vigorito here and to talk about the litigation world of New York medical malpractice, how to protect yourself. Welcome, Mr. Vigorito.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me tonight. I hope to say some interesting things, maybe some provocative things, get you guys thinking about these issues of medical negligence and how they affect each and every one of you in your practice. I've been practicing for over 40 years now. I've tried over 150 cases to verdict in the New York State Supreme Court and Federal District Court. I have a wide variety of cases that I've seen representing Westchester Medical Center for the last 20 some odd years. It's a major institution that's now up to 10 hospitals in their system throughout the Hudson Valley, and they do see some rather unusual medical situations that confront doctors. Just by a show of hands, so I know my audience, are we talking about a lot of internal medicine people here tonight? Yeah? Okay. And how about other specialties? Any neurology other than Dr. Lee? No? Orthopedics? Radiology? Mostly internal. Okay. That's great. Right now, while you guys are chowing down and eating a little bit, there are probably 100 plaintiff attorneys in New York City, one of the most litigious cities in the world, filling out a summons and complaint to bring a lawsuit against a doctor or a hospital or both. And primarily, they're basing that on a review of your medical records. So why don't we just start there as a topic? How important is it that when you document things in your medical record, it's accurate, it's clear, you haven't gone back to it and changed anything or altered anything in there, whether it's an EMR, an electronic medical record, or a handwritten note, because those notes are going to undoubtedly become the foundation of the lawsuit that might be brought against you. And so it's of critical importance that when you make these notes, you give careful thought to it. When you put down a differential diagnosis in a note, if you are an internist and you're confronted with a patient that could have 6 different things that you're thinking about, that you write that note accurately and prioritize those differential diagnoses in the note, because that note is going to be shown to you later on if you are brought into a lawsuit. It's going to be used against you as a weapon by the plaintiff's attorney. Critically important, note writing, accuracy in note writing. How many of you use electronic medical records on a regular basis now? Everybody? Okay. All right. And, Westchester Medical Center uses Cerner. I know other systems use Epic. There are differences between them. Has anybody been confronted with the issue of a metadata search? Anybody hear of that? Know what that is? In terms of medical records, I see a lot of people shaking their head no. Okay. Once you've committed something to the medical record, the attorney on the other side, the one that's bringing the lawsuit against you or against your practice group or against your institution, if you're a hospital-based physician, they are going to be entitled to a metadata search if they suspect and they have reasonable cause to tell the court that we think the record has been tampered with. We think the record has been altered. We think somebody went back in after the note was written and added something to the note or changed something in the note. And so that kind of metadata where they make that request of someone like me, the attorney representing you, and then I have to go back to your records and your database and your IT people, and we have to make a determination whether or not anybody has re-entered the medical record after the note was signed off on, to see if it was ever added to, changed, altered in any way. So you have to be super careful about that, because that is a tremendously damaging piece of evidence that comes in sometimes in our cases, and it's very hard to undo, because if they have it there in a printout from IT that the record was gone back into, we're going to have to explain why it was gone back into, why anything was added or anything was changed in the chart. Let me give you an example of a case. I'll change the facts around because it's a real life case and it's still pending, and give you a scenario, and maybe we could have a couple of questions from the audience as to what you think about it. 40-year-old man is at home. He goes into his bathroom at 2 o'clock in the morning and he collapses on the floor. His wife finally wakes up, realizes that he's on the floor, calls 911. They take him emergently to the ER of the local hospital. In the ER, they immediately start to do a stroke protocol scan, and a CTA, a CT angiogram is done, and a head CT is done. And I know a lot of you are not hospital-based anymore, but at one time you were hospital-based when you were doing your residencies. A PGY2 was just 1 month into the second year of her residency in radiology, reads the CTA and the CT of the head, and underappreciates a basilar artery occlusion. That information is conveyed to the neurology resident, who's also a PGY2, who calls up the attendant who is at home. Tells the attendant, we have a patient, gives the whole history, 40-year-old man, we don't know how long he was down on the floor, he's now here, we're running a stroke protocol, we're getting complete blood count. Oh, by the way, doctor, the CTA and the CT were read as normal. That attending who's at home gets that information and says, okay, keep me posted, let me know what the results are of the blood work and if there's any changes in the patient's condition. As you can probably figure out, the CTA and the CT were not read properly. They were underappreciated. That basilar artery occlusion was not appreciated, and it was not ultimately diagnosed until 3 hours later when an attending physician got to the hospital and was checking the overnight studies and saw that there was an occlusion. TPA, clot-busting medication, was never an option for this particular patient, but the thrombectomy that ultimately went forward was now delayed by more than 4 hours. And the result for the patient was a poor one. He survives, but he has speech difficulty, he has movement difficulty, he doesn't recognize his family, he's never going to work again. In a situation like that, if you put yourself in the position of the attending, the individual that's working from home on the overnight, who's covering and fielding these questions from residents in a hospital, in a teaching institution such as the one that I'm describing, do you think you have an obligation to get dressed at 2 o'clock in the morning and drive over to the hospital? Or not? If you're told that the films were read as normal by a resident and you knew it was a resident. It's an interesting question. That's an ongoing lawsuit right now. And you know, the exposure on a case like that with a 40-year-old man with 2 children and a wife making $100,000 a year is multiple millions of dollars easily. So in a very simplistic way, I've explained to you a situation where you as an attendant can be put in a very, very difficult position. You weren't even at the hospital. You never saw the patient. All you got was a phone call with some information. I'll add something to the equation, make it a little trickier. Let's say that doctor who was at home, when she got that information about the film being normal, she actually tries to access the films on her computer by linking into the hospital's website. And when she did that, she wasn't able to see the films. She wasn't able to get into the website. It was a technical glitch. What do you do under that situation? Is there an IT number that you call to the hospital? Hopefully there is. So you can call them and say, hey, I'd like to see these films on patient Jones, but I haven't been able to do so. What do I do? Let's say further that IT says to you, okay, we'll try to get them to you, but never does. What does that doctor do under that situation? She knows that these films have been done, but she hasn't been able to look at them. And all she knows is that they were read as normal by a PGY2 1 month into the 2nd year of their residency. Is she entitled to rest on her laurels, for lack of a better term, and conclude that, hey, they told me it was read as normal, so I'll be satisfied with that? Or does she have to do something more? What is the burden on her? And that's something that you are confronted with every day when you treat your patients. This burden that you have as a physician to give the best possible care to your patient. There's an instruction in the law in New York State that doctors have to give reasonable care. And it specifically says, and it gets read to jurors all the time when cases go to trial in New York State, it says the doctor doesn't have to have the skills of the most brilliant doctor in the world. I'd like to think so, but that's not what the law says. The law says you have to have reasonable skills and use your best judgment. And so even if you don't get a good result, if you've done that, you're supposed to be entitled to a verdict in your favor in New York State. That's what the law says. That is contingent on so many other variables that we could spend a couple of hours tonight talking about just the variables that are involved. The skill of your lawyer, the skill of the plaintiff's lawyer, the rulings that the judge has made, the composition of the jury, the venue of the case. What do I mean by venue? When I picked the topic to call it litigious nature of medical malpractice in New York, you're probably well aware at this point in your careers that there are certain places where if you get sued and you have to defend the case, you're going to have a tougher time winning the case. Bronx County would be a tough place to win a malpractice case. It always has been. Staten Island would be a good place to win a malpractice case. Queens would be kind of even-handed, but can go either way depending on who the litigants are, again, and what kind of rulings you get in the court. So there are a lot of vagaries that are built into the system that you have to contend with and confront. I'll give you another fact pattern of a case, and then I just want you to think about this. If you have questions later, you can ask me. You're working in an emergency room, and a patient comes in with some chest pain. You think acute coronary syndrome. You work the patient up for that. Troponins are normal. You do a chest x-ray, not a CT. There's no widening of the mediastinum. There's some pain to the back and neck area, but no radiating pain. You call for a cardiology consult too. And the cardiologist comes down, checks the patient, and concludes that based on a history that the patient gave of when the onset of that pain happened, when he was trying to fix his boiler in his home and he was laying on the floor with a wrench in his hand, and that's when he started to get the chest pain, that maybe this pain is musculoskeletal. Reasonable. Sounds like it, right? That patient goes home without the CT, and 48 hours later dies of a aortic dissection. That's a pretty good lawsuit, right? Did we miss it in the emergency room? What else should the physicians have been doing or ordering test-wise? We didn't do a CAT scan. That might have been the gold standard at that point, but was there really an indication to do a CAT scan? And are we going to do a CAT scan of the chest on every patient that comes in with a history of, acute musculoskeletal pain when they're lying on the ground for a couple of hours with a wrench in their hand? Troponins were normal. We ruled out ACS. Was there anything else going on there that should include the physicians in, both the resident in the ER, the attending in the ER, and the cardiologist with years of experience who came to see the patient in the ER, that perhaps this could be an acute aortic dissection? We see those cases with some regularity, and they can be very, very difficult cases. That particular case we tried and we won. But my colleagues who represented the other doctors in that case and we turned to ourselves at the end of that case when we won and said, we were lucky to win this case. We're good at what we do, but our adversary was not very good at what he did. And because of mistakes that the other lawyer made in the case, we were able to exploit those and win that case. But in the hands of other lawyers, we easily would have tried to settle that kind of a case. So that's another interesting scenario. In addition to the documentation in the chart, and the documentation in these couple of cases that I've mentioned to you is paramount. It's being studied by the lawyers all the time. It's being used to prosecute these cases. What else is critically important to prevent you from having to defend yourselves in a lawsuit? Well, just your bedside manner and the way you deal with your patients, the way you talk to them, and the way you inform them. And if you develop that good rapport with your patients, we find, and the studies have shown, that there's a much lower likelihood that that patient, even if they don't get the desired result, they're not going to run out and write down the phone number of the lawyer on the side of the bus going by, or the commercial that's running at 1 o'clock in the morning, Channel 9 or whatever, to try to bring a lawsuit against you. However, the flip side of that is, you were impatient with them. You didn't explain things to them. You hurried them. You rushed them. You were less than polite to them. I think they teach these things in medical school now, right? Don't they have classes on this? Those are the physicians who are more likely putting themselves in the potential crosshair of being named in these kinds of lawsuits. New York is a very litigious place, as you know. It doesn't take a lot. I see everything from the sublime to the ridiculous. I see cases when I look at them, just at first blush, I know they're going to be difficult cases to defend because of what they're about. And then I see other cases that are just totally preposterous and ridiculous and should never be brought. But we don't have a system in New York that allows us to get rid of those preposterous cases at the very beginning. I wish we did, because we could save everybody a lot of time and anguish and money. And the insurance companies would love it too, because it would cost them a lot less because they wouldn't have to pay me. But we don't have that mechanism. We have a mechanism here where if you are sued, you are going to go through several steps of discovery before we can even contemplate making a motion to dismiss the case. And one of those steps is a very important one, and something else I want to talk about. It's called examination before trial, or deposition. Has anyone here been to an examination before trial or deposition? Okay. That's a chance for the other side to question you, not in the courtroom, in a law office. For the past 3 years, we've been doing them all on Zoom. Nobody's doing them live, but sooner or later we'll get back to doing them live. And the other attorney's going to come loaded for bear with that medical record, the one that we talked about that hopefully has clean notes in it, and that has not been tampered with or altered or changed in any way. And they're going to try to press your feet to the fire on the theories that they have in the case of what should have been done. I'll give you an example. In the case that we talked about initially, the gentleman who had the stroke and got taken to the hospital, the very first physician that had to give a deposition in that case, and there were many people sued in the case, was that PGY2 in radiology. And the attorney questioning her happened to be one of the best attorneys in New York at what he does. And it wasn't a tremendously lengthy deposition, but it was a devastating deposition nonetheless, because within the first 15 minutes, that young physician was being confronted with questions like, you missed the occlusion, right? You blew it, right? And when the other radiologist came in 3 hours later and saw it, he told you you blew it and missed it, right? And the answers to those questions were, maybe, yes, I don't know. I mean, it was just, it's a transcript that will get read to a neuron, and it's going to lead to a verdict against that doctor and against the hospital that she worked for because she was a resident. She's insured through the hospital as an employee under the theory of vicarious liability and respondeat superior. But my one warning to you is, if you have the misfortune of being named in a medical malpractice case, make sure you avail yourself of the ability to meet with your lawyer. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's someone I know and I think highly of, or someone who I don't. You have to meet with your attorney early on in the case and sit down and go through the case carefully. And it's hard to do because you're busy. and it's going to take a couple of hours, but you need to do it, because if you don't do it early on in the case, you're going to forget things. You know, sometimes you don't get sued until 2.5 years after the event. The statute of limitations in New York State for doctors is 2.5 years. You could have treated the patient 2.5 years ago from today, and when you go home tonight, get served with a summons and complaint. You're going to open it up and say, who is this patient? I don't even know who this patient is. And then you're going to go back and open up your medical records and try to figure out, when did I treat this patient? Who was this patient? What did I do for this patient? And then you're going to have to try to piecemeal it all back together again. Guess what? It doesn't work out very well when you do that. So if you get sued, you get served, you turn it into whoever your insurance carrier is. I'm sure some of you are insured with MLM, Medical Liability Mutual, or MedPro, or PRI, or FOJP, or the doctor's company, whoever it is. What you want to do is be proactive. You want to say to the carrier or to the risk management person or whoever you're dealing with initially after you get served with papers, I'd like to meet with my lawyer. Who's my lawyer? And I'd like to meet with them as soon as I can, and make sure you get put in touch with that person so you can have a meaningful conversation and start to build the semblance of what your defense to the claim is going to be. I'm open for questions. Anybody have any questions yet in the back?
Two questions.
Sure.
First question regarding to the metadata. The metadata,
Yep.
right now, most of the EMRs won't allow you to change your metadata.
Okay.
You can only addend it. So change your tactics or situation.
Well, that's good. I don't know if it's the rule for everybody's system, you know. Westchester Medical Center changed over to a Cerner system a couple of years ago, and I know they have the addendum, right, Carrie? You could addend a note. They actually wanted to have even more than that, and they consulted us as attorneys, and we advised them not to allow changes in the notes, because we just thought that was going to lead to more litigation. And we told them at the hospital, if you want to pay the lawyers a lot more money, go ahead and do that, because it's just going to lead to more lawsuits. So they didn't. But I'm not sure that everybody has that. And metadata is more than just changing the note. Metadata is, you know, if notes are missing. You know, since I do a lot of hospital work, I get hospital charts of 5,000 pages sometimes. Plaintiff's attorney served an authorization. He gets a chart that has 5,200 pages. Now we're in discovery, and the plaintiff attorney contacts me and says, why do I have 200 pages more than you have? That's a real problem. Now we have to figure that out. Why aren't those 200 pages in the certified chart that I got for my own client? And they're going to be entitled to a metadata search of where those 200 pages came from, why they weren't part of the chart that he got originally from the certified authorization. So metadata is an issue. We fight it. We try not to give it over if we don't have to. We make sure that plaintiff attorneys have a good faith basis for it and can articulate that. And we've got some good rulings where we've curtailed it to some degree. But I bring it to your attention because it just goes hand in hand with, you know, note writing. You know, I broke into this business when everything was handwritten, and, you know, I learned how to read his handwriting, you know, 35 years ago. I was pretty good at it. Now, well, I get a typewritten drop-down menus where, you know, everybody keeps a note day after day after day. So 30-day admission, the note update's the same as the note on day 29, and that's not a particularly helpful item. So be careful about that. Anybody else? Yes?
The EHI actually allows me to unlock my note. So a common scenario for me is I see a patient, I finish note, I send a prescription, and then 10 minutes later they call me, hey, I need to change the pharmacy. So the easiest way for me to do it is to unlock my note, change pharmacy, extend. But is that a problem?
You know, that situation, and everything is fact dependent, obviously. I don't think that's a problem, because that's kind of a ministerial medication, and it wasn't clearly, noted, or the patient wasn't aware of it. But you're talking about changing the pharmacy,
Right.
instead of calling in Drug Mart, it's going to CVS or Walgreens. And I don't see that as a problem. As long as the patient gets their prescription and they get their medication covered. It's different than, you sent the patient for an ultrasound, you got the ultrasound back, it showed a 2-centimeter mass on the dome of the liver, and, you didn't convey that information to the patient the next time they were in the office. And 6 months goes by, and then you finally send the patient for a GI consult, and they do a CAT scan, they find a cancerous mass on the liver. They come back and they measure it, now it's double in size. That's a disaster, right? That's a different, see, that's why I say it's all fact dependent. The situation that you outlined, I don't see that as a problem.
Thank you.
It's related to the case you just mentioned, the radiology neurology resident, underdiagnosed with bruise. In this case, why the resident was on trial? I thought they didn't have medical license. They should be pending condition on the trial.
Residents in New York State can be sued. They can be held responsible. However, if you were a resident, we don't have any residents here tonight, right? If you're a resident, you're covered by the institution that you're working. You don't have an individual policy of insurance. You're an employee, as I said before, vicarious responsibility, vicarious liability, respondeat superior. But residents get named in cases for a very particular reason, because he doesn't. All he has to do is sue the hospital. They sue the resident because once they sue the resident and they serve the resident, that resident could finish, let's say it's a PGY 5 in a 5-year program, okay? And you sue them in May and they graduate at the end of June and they move to Omaha, Nebraska. If you've sued them, I'm still going to be responsible for producing them for a deposition. They're a party to the case, and they don't have to go chase him down. If he leaves and he hasn't been served, and he's in Omaha, Nebraska, and they call me up and say, oh, we want to depose Dr. Jones, and I say, too late, Dr. Jones is in Omaha, Nebraska. They say, well, all right, we're going to go out to Omaha, Nebraska and do whatever we have to do legally to get an open commission, fancy term for being able to serve that doctor with a process with a summons complaint, and get him to give a deposition in the case. And then I'm going to have to bring him back, or we're going to have to arrange to do it, or I'm going to fly to Omaha, Nebraska, which I don't really want to do. So that's how it works. But they sue residents all the time. I mean, different attorneys do it different ways. Some don't want to sue as many people, but some will. And they'll sue the residents because it guarantees them the ability to take the deposition. In this case, where the CAT scan was underappreciated by the radiology resident, they made her the first witness in the case. Her name appears as the first name in the caption of the lawsuit. And they basically made out their case of liability on that first deposition. There were 10 more depositions in that case, including Mike, who was sitting at home getting this misinformation over the telephone and couldn't access the CAT scan to read it herself anyway. And so now we have like this recrimination by the hospital as to whether my client should have taken a shower, gotten dressed, and driven an hour to get to the hospital, to find out what was going on when she was told the X-ray was, the CT was normal. So, very unusual situations. They come up all the time. Anybody else? Dr. Lee?
So for your client who is attending or supervising,
In that scenario, my client was the attending. He happened to be a locum tenens, working the overnight shift a couple of days a month for the hospital. So one of the things that I did, because the hospital was being antagonistic towards her, because they're on the hook for a lot of money in that case because of the misread by the resident, and they would love my client to participate in putting together a pool of money to settle the case. Because my my client has $1.3 million primary and $1 million excess, that's 2.3. That's 2.3 less than the hospital would have to pay, right? If my client did something wrong, which he didn't. So, the first order of business for me was to serve the hospital with discovery notices. What are your rules and regulations for locum tenens on-call attendants? How far away can they live from the hospital? When do they have to come in the middle of the night when they're called? What are they supposed to do when they can't read a radiology study remotely? And you know what rules and regulations the hospital had in response to my questions? Zero. They have nothing. So, I'm not paying any money in that case. They can try to come after me. The plaintiff's attorney is only going after the hospital. He's not going after me. Ultimately, he's going to let me out of the case. But here's a medical malpractice case where I'm really not being pursued by the plaintiff attorney who started the lawsuit. I'm being pursued by the co-defendant hospital. So there's a million, there's a million stories, there's a million ways how things can go wrong and sour in these cases. And that's why I caution you, urge you, how important it is to meet with your attorney, have confidence in your attorney from the outset, early on, because that's the way you put together a defense that can win the case. Anybody else?
So as a primary care physician, a lot of times we refer patients to specialists, right? If they don't go, and I don't feel comfortable treating them with specific situation, what is my standing in this case?
So the question is, you refer the patient as primary care, gatekeeper basically, to a specialist, and the patient doesn't go. Document that in the chart. As soon as you know. You have a list of people that you can refer to. When do you find out that the patient didn't go to the specialist?
The next visit.
The next time they came to you.
Yeah.
You say, hey, did you go to Dr. Jones, the GI doctor? And they say, oh, no, I didn't know.
And do we need to make them sign a waiver?
Say, yeah.
Sign a waiver.
I'm not picking that up.
We
Sign a
need to make
waiver.
the patient to sign a waiver.
Oh,
that
so,
they
well,
refuse to
I mean, what are they
use
signing
the-
away for? That they didn't go to the specialist?
Right.
I don't know that I would do that. I don't know that that's really the mechanism. I think what you have to do is you have to have a conversation and document the conversation with the patient. And then you understand that I'm referring you to the specialist because, of a workup or whatever, fact you have as to why you think that patient needed to be seen by that kind of specialist, whether it's renal, whether it's neuro, whatever it is, and document that in your chart. And if they're not going to cooperate, I mean, we get to the issue of discharging your own patient. If they're not going to listen to you and cooperate with you. I
Then
think
there's
that's
too many
pretty
patients to
extraordinary.
discharge.
Hmm?
There is too many patients to discharge if we
Yeah.
do this for every single situation. Yeah.
How frequently do you think something like that, occurs? Is it more common than I'm thinking? Because I'm thinking it should be rare. But
It's actually not very rare in our community. Yeah. For example, like an elderly gentleman with a PSA of 10, you refer them to GU, like they come back maybe once, twice, 3 times, and they still don't go. So I had to bring the family members and let them sit together and let them sign a waiver. Okay, I understand the consequence of refusing to see a urologist, and I explained everything. I asked the patient and the family member to sign, family member as a witness, and I include that in my chart.
is it sometimes is it a communication issue? Is it because of the age of the patient? Is it because of some other factor? Is there a lack of understanding because of dementia or something else that's going on? I mean, all these things would have to be documented to protect yourself. But having a family member come in, I think, is a good measure. I don't know that, I haven't seen circumstances where doctors are asking a patient to sign a waiver. But I think you could document it in a way in the chart that it will amount to a waiver for you. But, you have to talk to those patients, and you gotta get them to understand and document it. If you want them to sign something that they were recommended to go see the urologist and have not seen the urologist, you can probably have them sign that and put that in the chart.
One more. I'm a specialist, and I just want her opinion on patients' informed consent before procedure is done. So the routine is before the procedure is done, you discuss with patients, they sign the date, you have it on the record. So in your experience, is the written consent a very powerful evidence, when you are in trouble? Because I heard some attorneys say, it's just a document. It's not necessarily as powerful as you think when you try to defend your case. What's your opinion?
A couple of things. I'll start off by telling you that the issue of informed consent sometimes is a prominent issue, but not often in our cases for any invasive procedure. It's usually thrown into the case, but the real crux or gravamen of the case is surgical technique was bad, you damaged something during the surgery, it's usually surgical error as opposed to I wasn't given proper informed consent regarding the potential risks and complications of the procedure. That said, it is a separate cause of action that can be brought against any doctor. And having a good informed consent filled out, signed by the patient, is a good mechanism for us to defend the case on informed consent. It's not going to defend the entire case. It's just going to help us defend the issue of informed consent. And having one that's done recently, having one signed by the attending as opposed to, witnessed by the resident or witnessed by a nurse or witnessed by someone else is even better. But I'll tell you what every plaintiff says at a deposition. When I depose a plaintiff in a case, and I think there's an informed consent issue, and I have a consent that you filled out with the patient, signed it. I said, ma'am, before you had the surgery with Dr. Jones, did she come in the room and talk to you about the risks and complications of the cholecystectomy? And she said, I don't remember. So, okay, here's the form. It says, Dr. Jones discussed all the risks and complications of the cholecystectomy with you, and you decided to go along with the procedure, and that's your signature on the form.
Right.
Yeah, they just stuck that piece of paper in front of me at the last minute while they were wheeling me into the OR. Don't do it when they're being wheeled into the OR, okay? Do it in an office setting if you can. And do it so that you can then testify that we had a full and complete conversation about the risks and complications. This wasn't like haphazardly done. We weren't giving the patient like the bum's rush just so we could, get a surgery done. That helps bolster that piece of paper, that informed consent. Because 99 out of 100 plaintiffs will say, I really didn't read it. They stuck it in front of me. I signed it. And they try to make believe that they didn't really give an informed consent. Okay?
But in reality, if you really read the consent word by word to the patient, it's going to take forever. And then
I'm not having you have to read it. You have to do some work. We know what's on the printed form. It's a full page of single-spaced, legalese, basically, to protect the hospital and the doctor. But you have to have a full and complete conversation with the patient about the risks of whatever procedure you're performing. Otherwise, you haven't gotten an informed consent from the patient. If you can testify that you've done that, then it's your credibility against the plaintiff's credibility. Like I just said, the plaintiff will, more times than not, come in and say, I didn't read it, and she didn't tell me. Now, maybe they didn't read it, okay? But you didn't tell them as their doctor. You're going to testify in your deposition and say, my custom and practice is that I have a full and complete conversation with my client before I ask them, are you prepared to go forward with the surgery? And we spend, you're going to be asked, how much time did you spend with the patient on the informed consent talking to them about it? You should say, we spent 10, 15 minutes talking about it.
It's not just a document per se, it's how it was done.
It's the circumstances surrounding how the document was obtained.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Simple question. Follow up another question.
Yeah.
How about a videotape of that conversation for consent?
Yeah, you can do that. You know.
Will that help? Or will that?
Yeah, it
not
can help. I
help?
mean, you know, I think there are some physicians that will do it. Maybe in certain specialties. We don't see a lot of it. But, you know, if you think that you got a difficult patient or a patient that's really not, you know, understanding, you know, you might want to do it. You might want to do it, yeah. AMA forms against medical advice? I mean, are you talking about something other than the patient looking to leave the hospital against medical advice? Like you're giving advice to your patient, they're not following it? That's similar to the doctor's question about the patient that's not going to the consult.
For example, the parent says another
Again, we're talking about something that's a little bit more extraordinary than just a note writing. We're talking about affirmatively getting your patient to maybe sign something. And that's tricky. I like the idea of that you have the conversation with the patient and they're not following your advice and you write an immediate note in your chart. You know? Not a week later, not after the patient drops dead from a heart attack, you know. You write it right then and there, and you're going to go back and get your chart, you know, like a plan of attorney who wants to get your records to figure out whether he's got a lawsuit that wants to start. He's going to read that note and say, oh, wait, the doctor wrote in the note that you told the patient. And unless he wants to allege that you stuck that note in after the fact, you have a good defense to the case. I don't feel, you know, any difficulty defending you under those circumstances.
Thank you so much. Dr. Chu introduce next speaker.
Thank you so much. We're going to have a lot more questions next year when we invite you.
All right, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Our next topic will be tax. Selling malpractice insurance and tax is also important. So we're going to introduce Sydney Cohn. So she, like most of us here, she graduated from China, from Suzhou Medical College, and she was a doctor in China. And she came to the US in 2002, and instead of becoming a doctor, she found her passion to help doctors for financial planning. So she got an MBA degree and also has been in the business for about 20 years. She has been a certified retirement planning specialist and also has been a long-term sponsor for ACAP. So we're going to welcome Sydney Cohn. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're waiting for the slides. I want to just cover what I'm going to discuss today. So I know all of you just heard many great information about potential risk. So one of the things I'll discuss is about tax, current tax, future tax, and also when you plan to pass money to your kids, estate tax. In the U.S., all along we have to pay tax. How do we minimize our lifetime tax? The strategies. So I will cover that, and also where do you place your money? That will really impact if that will subject to certain risk when there's a lawsuit against you or your family in the future. So this is the main thing I will talk today.
The first area I will discuss is called asset location. Okay, so the first area we're talking about asset location, let me, which is about tax management. Um, Go back to that. Is this work? Okay, perfect. And then I'll give you a few examples. First one is qualified retirement plan. Second one is called physician life income plan. And the third one is captive insurance company. All of those provide certain tax advantage for you. The last one will be SLAT. It's one type of trust which we commonly use in the last few years to help wealth transfer. So we skip this one now. Now I want to tell you a little bit about my group. Martin's right there on the back. He's here. He's our partner in Metro Advisory Group. And managing partner will have 3 other partners not here, and also have a supporting staff across the country. And then we've been doing this for 20 years. Martin's been doing this for 23 years. So we have been here for a while, and we've been here for a while. And then we've been doing very well in the company. So the few areas Bank Pro specialize in are first the qualified plan, it's different type of qualified plan, DBBC. And then the second area is estate planning, that is how to pass your wealth to next generation, following generation, tax efficiently. The third one is capital insurance company funding, and how to leverage your capital insurance company. What is it? I will discuss a little bit about it. And then the fourth one is executive benefit and deferred comp. And then the next one is wealth management and in a tax efficient way. Also, the last one is business succession planning. That is how you pass your business, either sell it to other people or pass to your kids tax efficiently. So our whole mission is to help you build your wealth and then keep your wealth in a tax efficient way. And then this business strategies, many will be implemented for other doctors, so it's not new, it's being done and it's proven. And also the last one, like I said, protect business and personal assets. So these are key focus. First I'll talk about asset allocation and tax management. So what is the asset allocation? Many people know about asset allocation. So asset allocation, if you've been investing, you know you need to diversify among stock, bond, and alternative investments. You have a diversified portfolio and reduce the risk. And asset location is about tax management. Where do you put your money? Which kind of tax location you put it? It could be if you don't pay attention, all the time you leave money in the taxable account. And a lot of times you have a little bit of tax deferred account, which is 401k, 403b. And then most people underweight the tax-free account because we just don't have as many choices. So if you leave money in the bank or we buy stock in your personal account, it's in the taxable account. So you have to pay tax all along when you have gains, dividends, and interest. So it's very expensive, tax expense. And then the tax deferred account are those you can take deduction today, and when it's growing, it's tax-free, but when you take it out, you will have to pay tax. So you're familiar with this because you probably have a 401k or a SEP IRA or IRA. Yeah, you may have 403b, 437, if you're in the hospital, you worked there before, and then the DB plan, cash balance plan. So most time we recommend you maximize the tax deferred account because it has cap. And then the most overlooked area is tax-free account because we don't have our choice. When your income goes very high, you cannot put Roth IRA anymore. If you don't have a choice, when you set up a 401k, you do not have a choice. You have a choice as a Roth 401k, then you don't have that either. So you just pay attention, have that available to yourself. Those accounts you probably know as well. The money you put in already pay tax. The gross is no tax. When you take it out, there's no tax either. This is very important to have some of this in your portfolio. And then 529, if you have kids, it's great tool to use. And the physician life income plan, executive bonus plan, many of you know the cash value in the insurance is tax-free as well. And this is some guideline, just give you a little bit idea of based on your income. If your income is 200 or more, make sure you maximize your 405 plans, different types. And then if you have more than that, then you want to look into the RPT, restricted property trust. And then if your profit, the revenue go up much higher, when you have multiple doctor or PA work for you and when you have a big group, make sure you have captive insurance company. Not every time works out, but all time will help. When your overall wealth goes up over 5 million, make sure you start looking to will trust gifting, all of those wealth transfer strategies, and maybe set up trust. So first I will talk about is a little bit on the tax deferred account. Many of you know this, so I will go over the summary first and give you one case study. So the defined contribution plan are those. Here? Can you hear?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so you can hear on the back too, right? Okay, perfect. They give me signal and they be heard. And then, so defined contribution plan, the contribution max is fixed by IRS. So the maximum is 61,000 when you're over 50, 67,500. And the defined benefit plan, the benefit at retirement is capped. But how much you put in is calculated by actuary every single year. And then it could be anywhere between 70 to 350, depends on the age group. I'll show you an example. So if you're looking at 401k, it's capped, right? 20,500 or 27. And then if it's profit sharing, you have profit sharing on top of the regular salary deferral. Then you'll be 61,000 when you're over 50, 67,500. But cash balance plan or other defined benefit plan is much different because it's age biased and also it's income biased. And then when you are older, you're in the 60s, you could put away 300,000, sometimes even more if you haven't started in the earlier age. And then if you're in the 50s, you can put away about 190, 200,000. When you're in the 40s, it's less, 116, and then when you're in the 30s, it's less as well. But you can combine the 401k profit sharing with cash balance plan. So you can combine those two. That's why you see when you are in the 60s, can be 300. If you have a spouse working in the practice, it could be more, right? This is just one person. And when you're younger, if you have two plans, and you can also get up to 130. But this tricks about designing those plans, how you combine it, you have to work with specialists. You have to do the right thing, otherwise you could get into trouble. And that's a tax saving if you're at 45% tax bracket. But New York are going to be more probably, most of you above this tax rate. Then this is an example of if a practice has two, a doctor and a spouse, they have a 401k with cash balance plan, how much they can put away. So between the two plans, the doctor can put away 329, he's 61, the wife can put away 91, so total 420. They have obligation to the employee because there's rules about how much they have to give to the employee and then actually have to calculate it every year. So this example, in the profit sharing, they have to give away about 75% of the employee's income, so that's how much they give away, 11,000. And then in the cash balance plan, you need to give employees some money as well. Total is 13,000. But compared to how much they can put away, how much saving they have, it's a very efficient plan. So this is a good plan. The next one is about tax-free account. Tax-free account is just not that many choices. We talk about Roth IRA, Roth 1K. I want to talk a little bit about the physician life income plan because it's kind of a relative new thing. It's just not that much thing out there we can do, right? Which is after tax, and then grow tax free, and in the future there's no tax. It's just so rare. So this is fairly new because this product was used for Fortune 500 company, and when they have many executives, normally it's 10 or more, we can place those you call institutional product and help them generate a deferred comp plan with executive bonus plan. But this become available for physicians and also other medical professionals. Most time you have to belong to association to be able to join the plan, these qualifications. And then it's focused on the tax-free allocation. And then there's no limit on income, so you all should be able to join, and it's tax-free at retirement. So there's no income limit on contribution, and also just like Roth IRA has all the tax deferrals, tax-free distribution, and also asset protection in many states. And then when you change funds in between, and there's no tax when you move funds around as well. This is a quick example. This person is 50 years old, and then he put away $100,000 a year for 7 years, and then and he stopped. At age 65, he started to withdraw for supplemental retirement, and then this is assuming a 7% return. Then what happens is he can take out about $135,000 tax-free for 15 years. So basically, $700,000 contribution, $2 million withdrawal tax-free, there's no tax. And then if you put in $100,000, grow 7% the first year, you need to take money out. You can. You pretty much can take out the principal and growth. And then it has a death benefit in the beginning, relatively higher. And in the future, once the withdrawal start, or once the funding stops, the death benefit drops. So it has a supplemental death benefit there as well. The next one is something we all have. We have bank account, we have probably a stock account somewhere in trading stocks. And how do you make those type of account more tax efficient? And also between the taxable account, tax-free account, and also tax-deferred account, how do you allocate your investment so overall your portfolio is tax efficient? So it's an art, so you have to pay attention. This is something called tax efficiency scale. So ask your advisor, if you have advisor, you work with one, ask them about this. If they don't know this, you may need to upgrade your advisor. So basically, it's how efficient this investment is when you're looking at tax payment and how much, how often you pay the tax. Mutual fund is most tax efficient. Stock, if you don't trade a lot, is more efficient. ETF, mutual fund in the middle. The most inefficient one is the global bond rates. So what happens is the most tax efficient one you want to keep in a taxable account because the investment itself already tax efficient. And then the least tax efficient one you want to put in the tax deferred account. And the middle one you can leave in the tax-free account. So that's a way to arrange among those different type of account and for different type of investments. So it's important to kind of understand what's asset allocation, how to manage your tax by leveraging the tax deferred account, like maximize whatever you can get because they have a cap. And also take advantage of the tax-free investment, and then also manage the taxable account, put the tax efficient kind of investment in here. Then overall you'll pay less tax in your portfolio. So next one I will talk about the captive insurance company because if you've been practiced for a while, if you have contributed to defined benefit plan for a while, let's say 10, 15 years, you're going to start with your defined benefit plan. So the younger one, you're not there yet, but you will be there. So at that time, what do you do? It's like, okay, I'm making really great profit and benefit, revenue, what do I do now? So you can set up something called captive insurance company. So just thinking, if you run a business, you need to buy insurance, you can either buy from a third-party insurance company, or you can set up your own insurance company. So you set up your own insurance company. What's the benefit? You manage risk, right? You buy insurance. And then also you include cash flow. Why is that? I'll show you in a moment. And then also it has tax savings because if this captive is under the code A31B, then your practice pay the insurance into your own captive, the entire amount of premiums, the deductible, is up to $2.3 million. It's all calculated. It's not every company have that kind of capacity. Actually has to get involved. So this is some examples of a potential risk running a practice or company, most time you probably already have a workers' comp, umbrella, general liability insurance, but you cannot buy insurance to insure your reputation risk, or your loss of privilege, or your loss of license, or regulatory change, or collection risk. You can't collect those bills. Then what do? So if you have your own insurance company, then you can choose, hey, I want those kind of insurance. Then you produce a policy. Then your practice can buy policy from your own insurance company. Then you buy insurance, you have to pay a premium. Then those premiums are deductible, just like any other premium. So as long as it's a reasonable, ordinary and reasonable business expense, and just like you buy a general liability insurance, you can deduct it. So it's the same kind of concept. And most of the Fortune 500 companies have this kind of structure already. For smaller companies, most people don't know this. And generally speaking, what we see is when your revenue is lower or profit is lower, it does not make sense to do it, because set up those company is cost, because you set up a company, it's not a product or an insurance product, it's a company. So it's very complex. If you have a question, we can talk more afterwards. The next one I want to talk a little bit about is the wealth transfer planning. There's many things you can do. Okay, this is just an example of a trust. We see a lot of people set up because there's advantage of it. And then, so it's called spousal lifetime access trust. So a trust can be a revocable trust or irrevocable trust. So revocable trust is very convenient for you to use. You can change the term, and then it will help you with the probate fee and the process. But it will not help you with estate tax. It's still included in your estate, so it does not help you with that. And also it does not help with asset protection. The irrevocable trust will help you with estate tax, and then it also will help you with liability issues. But you cannot change its term, yourself cannot take it back. So that's the downside of it. So what happened is, this is a list of different types of irrevocable trust as well. I don't have to cover the rest, I want to cover this one today. And then also I want to mention the lifetime gifting is very high. Right now it's 12 million, and it will drop up 2025 because sunset to half of that, 6.8. And then so that's why you want to take advantage of it if there's a tax issue. This is an example of a SLAT. So irrevocable trust, because the downside of, because you cannot take it back, a lot of people hesitate of setting up an irrevocable trust. So this will help. The reason is a SLAT spouse actually can access so-called spousal lifetime access. The spouse can access the trust. How does that work? So let's say husband, Dr. Wang, gift his entire 12 million into here. You don't have to, 5 million, 3 million is fine. But let's say he gives 12 million into this, he maximized the gifting limit, and then the trust on the assets now could be stock, it could be real estate, it could be, if you have an MSO on your manage your practice, it could be that as well. Then the beneficiary, those are the people who can use the assets in the trust, are the wife, Dr. Lee, the children, they have 2 kids, and also the future kids. So let's say during a lifetime, Dr. Lee, the wife, can access the money. Dr. Wang cannot. He cannot take money out because it's irrevocable, okay? And cannot change the term either. But Dr. Lee, the wife, can. So in a way, indirectly, he still have access to the money. Then what if both of them die? Then this trust will split into 2, one for each of the kids. Okay. Then this is the wife, Dr. Lee. He did the same thing. I want to mention when you work on this kind of trust SLAT, because they have, especially when it's 2, you have to work with somebody very experienced, know how to do those type of trust, because those 2 trusts cannot be reciprocal. Otherwise, this whole thing is just not useful. I actually challenge it. And then so the wife put money into the trust, double trust put the assets into the trust. Then what's the beneficiary for her trust? The husband, the kids, the future grandkids. Same thing. So Dr. Lee, the wife cannot touch the money, cannot change the term, but the spouse can and the kids can access the money. If anything happened to both of them, same, the assets will be split into two trusts for the kids, and their future grandkids as well. So the benefit of having a spousal lifetime access trust is not just tax purpose, and also it's a protection because we see people that, let's say our kids, when they get married and then who knows now one day they can get divorced. So you protect them from divorce, protect the assets from being splitted during the divorce. And also something happened to the kids, they get into a car accident or some liability issue, nobody can touch the money inside the trust. This is the irrevocable trust. So that's one of the advantages. Then a good, well-designed spousal lifetime access trust has some flexibility built into it. That's the reason work with a good team who's familiar with this is very important. So you will have flexibility built into this. And like it can be distributed to the spouse and can have certain reimbursement or change trustee. This is very interesting, just kind of working with many different attorneys and also different clients. I see different designs and I find that it's art. And then spousal lifetime access trust, once you set up, okay, all the time people start to ask me, hey, what do I put into it? What's the best asset to put into it? I would say that the most, the assets have the most potential to appreciate put into this. So life insurance does, like you put in $3 million into it, you can buy could be 15 million or 30 million in some of your age group. So you get a high leverage, and then some security, could be stocks, you bought at low base, hedge fund holding real estate or other, could be your business, your company, and if you run out choices, then cash. So a lot of time, you may already have insurance, different type of life insurance, you already bought it. And then once you set up a trust, what do? If you set up a revocable trust, yeah, you can have revocable trust on it, but it's not really tax efficient because the death benefit of the insurance will be part of your estate. So you add huge amount into your estate. It's not tax efficient. I would say at least you set up an ILED, irrevocable life insurance trust. We use SLAT to hold your life insurance. This way it's outside your taxable estate. It's very important. And then what's the benefit of having a life insurance? You know it's liquid. Anything happens and it's cash paid into the trust or paid to your beneficiary. And then certain insurance have guarantees, so you have certainty. And then also if it's owned, the insurance owned by SLAT, because spouse can access the cash inside the trust. And then so you still can, in a way, your family can still have access to the cash for the value. This is just a very quick example for a 47-year-old buying a $15 million insurance lifetime. Okay. So payment, you want to do a 10 pay, and the payment is $299,000. So you look at about $3 million, buy up a insurance of $15 million, and then the insurance will last till, see, this is age 106, which 120. So it's guaranteed to age 120. Why it's guaranteed? Let's say if the cash in this insurance, the premium you're putting, then the different investment, if the cash go into the insurance, there's no growth, zero. And the insurance is still going to be there. The cash value won't be much. The insurance is still going to be there to age 5 and age 20. So this is called guaranteed life insurance, different types. And this is very cost efficient. And also, like you buy houses, you can borrow money. So by insurance, especially trust, you can borrow money as well. It's called premium finance. So it's a loan from the bank. They have certain criteria. Not everybody can borrow it, but when you can, try to look into it. And then the rate normally is floating. That's fixed rate as well, but a lot of times we see floating rate. It's based on LIBOR or something called SOFR, which is interbank loan rate, and then plus, depending on the bank, right? It could be 1.5 to 0.5%. So you're looking at about, right now this is about 2.9%, plus that, it's about 4.3% now. It's very complex, not go over that. So I'll just give you a quick example so you see it. This is also for the same doctor, and then it's a $20 million policy. The bank is willing to give $1.2 million a year, funding it for 7 years. Then they stop because I should be fully funded by then. And then the doctor need to pay the interest. Right now it's higher than this. We did it in March. The interest rate was very, very low. So now you're looking about probably, let's say, 3.5 to 4%. So the interest payment is higher now. It's not 18,000. You're looking at probably 50,000. And then we expect the interest to be high for the next 2-3 years. So you're looking at probably double this or triple this, 50 or 60 or $100,000. So this is the interest payment. That's the cost. Bank funding this. And then just like buy a house, you have down payment. So you say you have collateral, it's like down payment. You put your cash into the bank, and then either CD or different type of investment. So it's about this much. And so this is the cost every year. This is the interest, and this is the collateral. It's about for this situation, it's about 572,000. And then in year 16. The cash inside here, when you have money inside here, bank have requirement how those money are invested, what kind of product you can pick, and then they normally only allow the investment has a floor. You invest into index, but have a floor, have a ceiling. So that's the most common product, where that product have interest. And then so you're looking at paying those interest for 50 years, and then in this year 16. The cash value is enough to pay back the loan and still have enough left over to sustain this insurance. Okay, so that's just an example. Not necessarily everybody can get it, but if you can get it, explore it just to see if it works for you. I know the interest environment is changing now, so you have to look at how much is interest cost, if it's a cost-efficient way to fund insurance. So basically, we talked a lot of things today. I want you to remember, if you need a qualified plan, if you want to leverage a pre-tax, pre-tax deduction, a lot of time we can help on the qualified plan side, on the captive insurance company or RPT, let's maximize your current deduction. Then you're saying, okay, I need to increasing my tax-free investment. Then let's talk with specializing in the physician life income plan or non-qualified exactly the benefit or some other tax advantaged investment. So minimize your future tax and make sure your asset, not just asset allocation, also asset location are correct. And then if you're at the stage you're thinking about transfer assets to your kids or just do planning ahead of time, and then let's look into different trust or gifting strategy. And also if you need insurance, we can shop insurance from different companies. And those are the few things we can help. So before I finish, so we'll have a prize drawing here. We'll draw your iPad. So we'll take a picture, we'll scan this, you'll put in your information, then you enter into a raffle, and then we'll notify you, whoever win the raffle. So yeah, you can take a picture or scan it, you'll get to it. And then at the bottom also, you can take a picture, that's my contact information, also Martin, my partner's contact information, and then we look forward to working with you. We'll answer your question.
One.
Yes?
Very simple question. The life income plan you mentioned, is that a guaranteed plan or not?
They are guaranteed plan in that platform, but most time it's not. It's more for the growth. It's more, when you look at the portfolios, it's more a growth-oriented portfolio instead of a guaranteed portfolio sometimes not necessarily for the future growth. So they are
So
different
it's
types.
not guaranteed in most cases.
It's for guaranteed life insurance is for the death benefit. You guarantee the death benefit, right?
To me, it looks like IUL, but you just give up the death benefit.
That's not the IUL, I can tell you
I
that.
know, it feels like it. Basically, you're
Yeah.
taking money from the cash account, right?
Yes, you're talking about the one generous cash. Yeah. Most time that don't use the IUL, the index can be part of it, but most time it has more. It's more like your 401k or your defined benefit plan. You have more choices. People want the flexibility on this kind of investment, and also the high cash. Initial high cash value also is different than regular insurance, so it's more an institutional type of investment. Okay. Yes.
For RPP, can you put stock and everything there?
Which one?
RPP?
No, we cannot.
Thank you so much. So
Thank you.
So we're going to move to next speaker. So just to let you know, so we also do live streaming, so on YouTube. So we have a lot of questions from YouTube as well. So not only the audience here, we have online. So next talk, we're going to invite Tracy. So she's going to talk about more tax, trust, and asset protection. I'm going to introduce Tracy in 中文吧。Tracy 是毕业于台湾大学法律系，然后呢，在 NYU 法学院获得了硕士学位。他在曼哈顿的很多主流的那个律师事务所多年工作。然后呢，最近几年呢，他致力于华人社区的这些financial planning 的一些号，所以说他能够帮助大家设计适合你们华人家庭的整体的财务规划。我们invite，谢谢。
谢谢朱医生的介绍啊，大家好，我是 Tracy，我叫张律生啊。这个很多人大概也可能也认识我，我自己已经在这个做法律律师这方面的业务呢，已经大概加起来也有20年了。对，可能有人说啊，你有20年吗？我不知道，但是这个地方呢，我是一开始的时候是做房地产开发相关的这些业务。那当然呢，很多东西这个有土斯有财嘛，对吧？那个犹太人啊，这个意大利人以及我们华人呢，都是用这种财富传承或者是累积财产，都是用很多这个关于房地产这方面的啊。那当然很多时候呢，它也是一个很安全、很稳健，而且呢很多这个有很多 tax advantage 在里面可以做房地产。这个如果有做过房地产、有当过房东的，大家都知道。So I just want to introduce myself in English for now, and of course, two of my assistants, Jennifer and Emily, is gonna give you some handouts right now. 我在想说，我是不是现在就用中文讲，还是用英文讲？听不懂中文的请举手好吗？
没有。
都听得懂中文的请举手好吗？
都听懂中文。
刚刚没有举手人可以举手一下吗 ？OK， 谢谢。所以大家应该都听得懂中文。那刚刚已经有2位讲者已经讲过这个用英文的哦。那我也照顾一下华人的这个朋友们 ，OK， 好的。那我现在
I think we do have audience that doesn't speak Chinese.
I'm sorry?
We do have audience that doesn't speak Chinese.
Who doesn't speak Chinese, right? Okay. Oh, hi, how are you doing? My name is Tracy. Hi, how are you doing? Okay. So luckily, all of our handouts are actually written in English, and also all my slides are actually written in Chinese, English. So I'm going to do it kind of like it's bilingual, and also I'll try to communicate in both languages. Is that okay? Is that okay? Okay, good. All right. So this is my 这是我的背景介绍，我本身是律师，那我是台大法律系毕业之后，来到美国念 NYU Law School， 然后就开始在美国这边一直在纽约州做律师这样子。那主要来讲呢，我就是现在都是专门在做这个信托的设立，还有这个我们讲 trust and estate planning。那像刚刚Cindy 也有讲到很多有关于这个信托的东西。那当然大家可以今天看到这些 agenda 啊。这4位讲者里面有第1位是这个老外的律师嘛 ，right？ 那他是讲 medical malpractice 的，其他3个人都是讲什么？都讲什么？讲税？为什么？ 因为大家非常需要税方面的问题，而且还有这种资产保障、信托方面的法律的问题，对不对？所以呢，刚刚讲到说 ，OK，medical practice 很重要，然后呢，刚刚这个 Alfred 呢，他可以代表我们怎么样，然后写 notes 啊，怎么样，然后可以就是帮助我们做这些证据啊等等的。但另外一方面，其实很多部分是你怎么保护你的资产，对吗？你的资产是不是已经放在可以被保护的这种框架里面？你的法律有没有 ？Did you use the legal system to help you with your asset protection？OK， 这个是一个比较重要的一个部分。那当然呢，这个在座里面也有我自己的客户哦，那有很多就是支持我的朋友，也是很长期以来就是一直在关注我。那我也是一直在努力的在做的事情，就是帮每一个家庭，就是 I work with every individual and every family， 是帮助你们家去量身定造一个你们适合你们家的一个信托规划，跟这个我们讲的这个 estate planning 的一个计划。因为呢，我可以讲很多有关于信托的、税务的这些知识，但是不见得每一个都跟你有关系。Not every way of the asset protection is actually suitable for you, right？ 那什么东西是适合你的，而且可能不见得什么东西说，哎，那个 Tracy 是信托律师哦，那我们就是把信托设立好了以后，什么东西都塞进去好了，放在里面就已经做到 asset protection 是吗？不是哦，我就直接先跟大家报告。It's not like I'm a trust and estate attorney, and then I will just encourage everybody to set up a trust and put all your assets inside. No, definitely not. Okay, that's not the right way to do it. And if anybody is telling you, oh, for asset protection purpose and for everything else, you just need to set up a trust and put everything inside. That's actually not true. Okay? 还有一个很大的一个误区就是，常常有人觉得说，哦，这个信托呢，就是分为一个叫做可撤销信托，一个叫做不可撤销信托，一个叫 revocable， 一个 irrevocable。那人家就是说，哦，那这样的话 ，revocable 的就是可以改的信托 ，irrevocable 的就是放进去再也不能拿出来的信托。Oh my god， 真的吗？如果是这样的话，都放进去都拿不出来，那你还要做吗？如果都拿不出来，那我们这些律师都可以回家了，对不对？对吧？所以呢，一定是有各种的方法，但是呢，当然也要看你用的是什么样子的方法把钱放进去。How you actually position your money， 你把钱用什么样子的名目放进去，那也可以决定你后面用什么样子的方法可以拿出来。不要让这个名词来混淆你，来 get confused。哦，不可撤销就是东西降进去以后就什么东西都拿不出来了。Oh my god！ 哦，那这个东西都不是你的，完全没有办法拿出来了。然后可撤销的就是哦，这没有办法做什么，但是就是随时可以撤销。That's actually a lot of misunderstanding between the two concepts. OK， 如果有律师跟你讲说，哦，这个东西是不可撤销的，你放进去以后再也拿不出来了，你用都用不掉。那这个部分呢，你就可以知道说，它不是一个非常 qualified， 或者是不是专门在做信托资产保障的律师。OK， 那这个地方呢，我当然就是跟大家大概解释一下，信托的规划其实是非常的 detail oriented， 它一定是一个非常根据你个人的东西来设计的。OK， 绝对不是一个 one size fits all 的东西，也不是说哦，你来，然后呢，大家每个人都做大概一样的计划，这个是错的。OK， 很多东西都是要花时间，要教育你们，要让你们了解以后，然后看你们家比较适合哪一种，我才会帮你这样设计。OK， 而且这个是我都告诉我的客户，这个绝对不是一个一锤子买卖。什么意思？就是说，不要以为你做了信托以后 ，and then you're done, you're all set. It's not like after you set up a trust and then you are done, you're all set. No, it actually review. 就像是你们是医生，我们来看医生的时候也要有 annual planning, annual review， 就是我们是 annual checkup， 对不对？不是说我有看医生了以后我就不用管了。很多时候它是一个一直在跟着我们的财产更新变化的一个过程，它是一个一辈子的事情。 你的财产可能会有变化，数量上有变化，种类也有变化，甚至是什么你自己的想法对于未来的规划都有变化的时候，这里面你的 trust planning 一定要 properly reflect how you think and what you own and what's the projected future， 而且是跟未来的 tax law 都有关系的。不是说现在做好了以后就不用管它 ，OK？ 那当然呢，这个 year-end planning 这边我大概很快的讲一下有关于有一些税的东西，因为当然等一下也有一位这个 CPA 嘛，他会过来讲一些这些东西，但是呢，我准备了，我大概再跟大家讲一下哈，现在是11月11号 ，OK？ 现在11月11号，也就是说在年底12月31号之前，你还可以做一些做什么可以省税的动作。我相信哦，因为这个在座都是属于一些高收入的这些专业人士嘛，我们的医生团体是我们非常引以为傲的一个群体啊，尤其是我们华人社区当中。但是呢，在这个当中，你可以做一些什么，是可以帮助你在年底现在不到2个月的时间，可以还省税的。比如说第一个最棒的就是你可以用省税的钱来买长期护理的保险在自己身上。而且到最后拿出来的所有的 benefit 都是 income tax free 的 ，OK？ 这个没有什么长篇大道理，就是一个这么简单的一个 long term care 的 insurance， 你可以用 pre-tax 的 money 来买，然后到最后需要 long term care 的时候，你拿出来的所有这些福利给到你的钱都是什么？都是完全不用扣税的，这个。我不知道你们，我知道说很多人可能在年纪轻的时候可以已经有买了 long term care 了，但是你有没有想过以前的 long term care 的 payout 跟现在的 medical expense 的这个，我不知道你买够了买不够了，我不知道哦。但是呢，这个是每一年 user or loser 的 ，OK？ 我不是说你只需要有一张 long term care 的保单哦。你也可以现在，比如说我现在是51岁了，我这边有一个1690块钱的一个 free 的一个这个可以抵税的一笔钱，拿来变成我自己的什么？变成我自己的 long term care 的一个 premium， 而且到时候以后我需要拿出来的钱，比如说一个月一天里面可以，比如说拿300块钱的日额的，我的 daily maximum benefit 是300块的话，一个月可以多拿4500，而且是 income tax free 的。OK， 这个你们应该一定要做到的。如果没有做的话 ，use it or lose it，why not，right？ 这个是很简单，不需要什么 trust， 不需要什么其他的 ，OK？ 但是很少人会告诉你这个东西。当然，如果你今天已经61岁以上的话，你可以省到4510块钱不是说你一定要做一个4510块钱的计划，你可以做一个6000的计划，但是其中4500多块钱是可以 income tax deductible 的 ，why not，right？ 好，再来 business overhead expense， 可能很多人就是知道有这个 disability insurance， 就是说如果我们一旦工作不能工作了，可能受伤或者生病有什么其他意外，我变成不能够工作的情况之下，谁来帮我的 medical office 来付这个房租？谁来帮我付前台小姐的费用、电话费、广告费这些东西，电费谁来帮我付？这个时候呢，这个也是一个可以用 tax deductible 的钱来买的一个叫做 business overhead expense。这个 business overhead expense 呢，出来的钱，它第一个它是 tax deductible 的，然后出来的钱呢，它会给你一个1099，但是呢，你不用担心，因为什么？因为这个钱不需要全部拿来报税，为什么？这个钱给你了以后，你可以拿去付水费、付电费、付房租、付前台小姐的费用，或者是其他你的 PA 的费用，都可以用这个来付。你自己生病、自己受伤了，但是不会造成你的整体的我的这个 medical practice 会变成一个 shut down 的一个情况，或者是变成要用自己的这个 saving 来补足所有的这些开销，好吧？
我问一个问题。
请说。
我觉得我就是有点 confused。一般来讲，我们讲 disability insurance， 我是用自己的 after tax money， 然后我需要拿的时候，那个也是不用付税的。你这个讲的是 pre-tax money， 这个 tax 你怎么 bypass？What's the？
它不是 bypass， 它叫做 business overhead expense。什么叫 business overhead expense？ 注意咯，很好的问题。 这个地方 business overhead expense 呢，跟你的 income protection 不一样。今天你讲 disability insurance 的时候是说，哦，如果我一年赚比如说多少钱，然后我 up to 60% 我的 income 呢是可以，当然啦，在我们的这个 disability insurance 大概 maximum 就是3万块钱一年。OK， 你就算是赚100万、200万，你也是只能够拿3万块钱一年是你的 after tax， 然后不用付税的一个 income protection。但是这个是给你钱来支付你所有的开销，这个中间的差别在这里。你的开销，什么叫开销？就是拿这个钱过来，我是拿来付我的水费、电费、房租，然后人事费用的。所以呢，他拿过来给我的钱，我不需要再另外付税的原因，不是因为这个东西不用付税，是因为我拿来贴补所有我的 expenses for my business operation， 是这个意思。
但是你是这个 disability 的受益人。
那是这个公司，注意了，是这个 business。
是这个 business。
对，是这个 business， 只是我是这个 business 的 100% 的 owner， 是可以的。这个是公司的打开销，就像你打开销一样嘛，对不对？我今天打开销，我今天赚100万，我开销出去50万，这个50万要不要打税？当然不用打税呀。我现在是给你钱让你去打开销，给你钱去付这些 bills， 不要从你自己的这个 saving 里面去挖自己的钱来支付我自己的这个，不然的话，如果我病了3个月，病了6个月，我的 practice 我就要吃老本嘛。是这个意思 ，Yeah。
The individual or the company?
It sounds like
Okay, the insured is the person who's practicing the business owner 嘛 ，business owner 嘛。
You justify to buy it under your name with business money.
对，这就叫做 business overhead expense 的 insurance。它 cover 的部分是 business 的 overhead expense。这个要看你的 expense 有多少啊。比如说我的 expense， 比如说是1万5一年，1个月，比如说1万5一个月的话，那我差不多我一个月的 premium 大概是1000块左右。Pay by the company, yes. 对 ，for the company, for you to pay the expense.
But under the same consideration, if you use your DB plan to buy insurance, for example, then everybody who is eligible should have a policy. So under this, should I buy this for my employee too?
No, this is not for employees. This is not for employees. This is for business owner. This is for business owner. It's okay. 我们可以细节再讲，因为我们今天还有很多其他的东西嘛，对不对？然后当然呢，当然你有你的 disability， 他刚刚讲的是没有错的，说哦你是要用 after tax money， 然后出来的钱才是会 after tax， 这个没有问题，这个是 personal 的。我讲的是 business overhead 这个地方也是可以抵税的 ，OK？ 这个好像过不了。动了是 OK， 所以刚刚这个是这个是刚刚写的嘛，哈，这个呢就是讲到 covered expense include 什么 rent, lease payment, office utilities, staff salary, malpractice insurance premium, advertising 全部都是，它的 premium 是100% tax deductible 的 ，OK？ 那当然这个东西呢讲到 side plan 啊，这个大家没有 DB plan 的，请举手一下好吗？大家都有 DB plan 吗？大家公司里面应该都有吧？这个是你还没有吗 ？OK， 好，这个我们详细再谈。但是呢，这个是当然非常好用。缺点是什么？缺点是以后拿出来要付税，但是没关系，现在先抵税，现在能够先抵的先抵，对吧？但是呢，能够做的东西，就像之前Cindy也有讲过，这个是非常的应该要用的，尤其，但是呢，我说实在了，因为这一位是怎么称呼？
刚开始推荐的。
对，吴医生非常好啊。这个为什么他没有？就是因为他年纪非常轻。 OK， 为什么这样说呢？是因为这种 plan 呢，如果你的 owner 是一个年轻人的话，不合算的啊，这是实话哦。这个做这个呢，要年纪稍微大一点的，对，年轻很好，但是在你能够抵税的部分来讲的话，并不很合算。甚至我有客户是 YouTuber， 他们很想要找一些抵税的项目出来做，20几岁就赚100-200万的，他们想做这种做不来，没什么好抵的，因为他年纪太轻了，在税法上面没有办法拿到很好的一个数字算出来的 arbitrary 算出来就不好 ，OK， 所以呢，年纪轻的呢有年纪轻的做法，年纪轻的有年纪轻应该做的事情。但是呢，一般来讲，如果你已经做了很多年了，没有 DB 就比较奇怪一点，因为它是一个非常好 100% deductible 的一个 personal pension plan。OK， 这个呢，这边就是很简单的讲一下，如果你的公司只有5个人啊，那你 business owner 2个，比如说有2个医生一起合开的，不管是 husband and wife 还是不是 husband and wife， 或者是2个医生一起合开的。然后有这个其他的这个小姐啊，或者是 nurse 啊什么之类的，这总共呢，你可以省掉的钱里面呢，当然 100% deductible， 但是呢，你自己90%几的部分都可以回到自己的身上，成为你的这个退休金哦。当然以后要打税，这个我们就不用再另外讲了，这个刚刚已经讲很多了。OK， 我们现在开始讲 trust。OK。这个 trust 是我的看家本领，也是我的本行啊，就是在讲这个信托法律规划的时候呢，就是这个是我专门在做的事情。那当然要里面要搭配什么样子的东西 ？What are the assets that you're actually putting inside your trust? Actually has a lot of details we need to talk about. OK， 不是什么东西都适合放到信托，而且呢，什么东西放到信托里面，它的 tax consequence 是不一样的。它的 tax consequence 每一种是不一样的，所以呢，你说什么东西该放，什么东西不该放，什么东西什么时候放，这些都是有讲究的。那我就会帮我的客户一种的产品去规划，告诉你说这个东西是不是应该现在放，或者是这个东西不应该放，好处跟坏处各在哪里，我一定会帮你分析出来。OK， 好，当然我们现在是在纽约，我自己住长岛，住 Green Neck 啊。那当然，我们都知道说这个纽约州，还有当然我还有很多加州的客户哦。纽约州、加州是除了 federal 的这个 tax 以外呢，我们还有很高的什么？州税，对，没有错。好，你们知道纽约州现在的州税的最高是大概达到多少的 income tax？ 就是 New York State， 大概多少？Yeah, about 10%， 很好，大概10.9吧，大概差不多就要11了。当然我们还不是第一名哦，第一名是加州，对，加州。OK， 这也就是为什么我的很多客户现在呢都开始往一些德州啊，或者是往这佛罗里达搬。这个是我非常有经验，而且也做很多跨州的这些 tax advice 啊，我都帮他们在分析啊。那这个东西就是，尤其是我们很喜欢什么，一有钱就干嘛？买点房子嘛，对不对？买点投资房嘛，是不是？很多人呢，他们是住在纽约或 practice 在纽约，可是他可能有其他的房地产在别的州，这些东西都是我们常常讲，不管是 transnational， 我们讲跨国的资产配置，或者是甚至是跨州在美国里面这么大，对不对？有人喜欢德州，有人喜欢哪里？犹他州、Arizona、Nevada 都有人去的啊。那你这些跨州的东西，法律上怎么去适应呢？这个就是我常常在帮客户在规划的东西。OK， 那当然这个地方呢，跟大家也报告一下，在美国有17个州是有 estate tax 的。当然，纽约州的话，现在是只要是超过6.1个 million 的话，就是16%的，我们叫 cliff tax， 就是它从大概3%、3个多少10这样一直往上去，最多是16%。OK， 那这个是 on top of 这个我们 estate tax 计算的时候，不是只有这个，我们刚刚也讲了嘛，很多人可能大家都知道，现在的联邦的遗产税的免税额是差不多12.06个 million。当然你可能会说啊，我还没有到，没关系。可是 说不定你是没到，说不定你到了 ，maybe you're the lucky one that you already have more than 12 million 哦。但是呢，刚刚我们也讲到说，现今的税法 ，the tax law right now is the old tax law from Trump's presidency， 对不对？从2017年以来，川普上任呢，他是把这个 estate tax 的这个从5.49呢一路的怎么样，把它改成是11个 million。OK， 那现在当然每一年它是因为这个消费者通货指数 CPI 值往上调呢，它就现在已经变成12.06个 million。那这个时候呢，你就说啊，我现在还没有超过12.06 ，it's okay，estate tax has nothing to do with me。Well, is that true? Think again。因为第一个，我又没有马上要拜拜，我还很年轻，对不对？第二个，我的资产会怎么样？我的资产会怎么样？会增值啊！对不对？哪一个人手上买了房子是不增值的？如果是不增值的房子，干嘛要买它？对不对？对不对？房地产啊，或者是这个股票投资各种东西都是会增值的。那在增值的情况之下，我可能还有20-30年、30-40年可以活，我可能很容易就超过12个 million， 或者是说什么？或者是说它根本就会怎么样？这个 exemption 会怎么样？可能会调降啊。也就是在2025年之后，它是直接会调降，当然了，我们不知道到底2025年那时候是谁当总统或怎么样。就算没有任何的人改得动这个税法的话，它是有一个日落条款，我们叫 sunset provision。这个当时川普的这个法律呢，是从2017年到2025年有效而已。之后呢，2025年离我们没有很远哎，就2年多哎，2年2个月，对不对？那在这中间，可能是如果有任何的政治角力把它改掉的话，那就是改成当时的税法。因为像比如说去年的时候 ，Trump 这个输了以后呢，他本来也以为他有8年的任期嘛，他本来也以为，后来就发现说哦 ，OK 就没有上，whatever 原因啦 ，OK， 到最后的结果是，拜登上了以后，他说哦，政府现在欠钱，我们现在呢很有可能可以对富人，也就是不要讲富人哦，就讲你我吧，这种中产阶级以上的来多加税。那怎么样多加税？除了增加我的 tax rate 以外，我还可以怎么样？我还可以降低我的免税额啊，是不是？我们的 exemption amount 还可以降低。那 40% 是以前是，现在是说超过12个 million 的部分的话，我可以怎么样？我可以 tax 我 40%， 但是呢，有可能在2025年之后呢，它就变成是5 million or 6 million，or 它之前的这个 proposal 来讲的话，去年 proposal 它是说是不是可以降到350万之后全部都要40%？ 你们知道350万什么意思吗？350万什么意思？就是说，你我住在纽约，你只要有一栋房子自己住的，加上你的 medical practice， 或者是不要有 medical practice 那个 condo， 你就说我就是没有买自己的 practice 的 condo， 但是呢，我有一个出租房，差不多一个2家庭的，这样加起来就已经350万了，都不要讲其他的什么 401k 啦、403b 啦、DB plan 啦、life insurance 啦 ，you name it， 全部加进去就40% off 嘞。那你到底是在为你自己工作，还是在为 IRS 工作啊？你赚了这么多的辛苦钱，结果呢，全部拿去缴税，你觉得值得的话，那我没意见。我是不喜欢缴税的人。OK， 那在这个地方呢，我们就在讲说，有17个州，我们真的要，当然纽约州都不是最惨的啦。我觉得 Oregon 蛮惨的 ，Oregon 是1 million 而已啊。OK， 这个也是蛮夸张的。好，那有些我就刚讲的这个。我们这个东西是需要精算出来的，不是随便乱讲的。OK， 现在如果说假设你住在一个房子里面，有自己一个 practice 的 condo， 然后加上一个投资房什么，加上一些你的其他的 life insurance 啊，或者是其他的这个你们都可以看到在我们的 handout 里面呢，其实有蛮多的资讯，我有准备给大家，就是刚刚我助理派过来的这个 folder 哦。当然你现在不需要马上看嘛，但是像现在呢。光是讲 New York State 的 estate tax 来讲，你说哦，我现在只有大概算起来大概7个 million 而已。比如说我大概 practice 了10几年以后，差不多我的自己的总资产都差不多有7个 million 来讲的话， 哎，你说我没有不需要去用到这个，不需要去碰到我所谓的 federal state tax exemption， 但是这个时候呢，我们还有一个 New York State 的这个 state tax 还要付，包括就是像这样子就好。如果是7个 million 的人来讲，最少都不要讲说这个通货膨胀啦，或者是以后的这个 increasing appreciation in value。最少你的 estate tax， 你的小孩就必须要交60几万，而且这个是如果我现在走的话，如果我以后走的话，可能就更多，对不对？这个是一个 you have to prepare the tax money。哎 ，Are you guys feeling it？ 这个是一个很大的一个 big chunk 哎，凭什么说我已经之前的交的 W2 也交了？我的什么 K1 我也交了，每一年付这么多的税，我辛辛苦苦存下来的钱，然后我好想把这个钱继续留在我的家里，让我的小孩子可以得到一个至少不要为了五斗米折腰嘛，不想看病的时候也可以不想去看病，不想上班也可以不用上班，不用每个人都念律师、医生这种赚钱的行业，他也可以当歌唱家或者是艺术家啊 ，Why not？ 可是呢，你想要留下来的钱。是之前都已经交过税的钱呢哦，留下来的钱，如果没有其他的另外的增加的话，你至少这边还要再付60几万的税钱，而且这个只是纽约州而已，还没有包括联邦。为什么没有包括？因为我还不知道那个法律到底是改成350万，还是1200万，或者是甚至说100万都有人喊过。就是想要对富人开刀嘛，所谓富人就是你我啦，都不是真正很富的哦，但是我们就不是那种黑命贵的嘛 ，right？ 所以这个部分就是大家就要想一想说 ，how to avoid that tax？ 而且如果不能 avoid 的话，什么意思叫不能 avoid 啊？今天就算是总统、天王老子也要交税，对不对？如果不能 avoid 的话，我怎么样能够把这笔钱用别人家的钱来做一个无税的杠杆来帮我交税，而不是用我自己家里的钱来 fire sale 或者 foreclosure sale 以后让我孩子拿着这个已经付过税的钱再去交税，是在 double taxation 啊。They have to sell something, pay the tax. At the end of the day, at the after tax money need to pay that tax to the government to keep their assets. Really? Seriously? OK， 那如果我不能够改变这个法律的话，那我有什么方法可以做到这样的无税杠杆来帮到我们自己家，而不要说哦，不管的结果反而是自己没有办法把钱存下来，是不是？这个就是很重要的，所以这个地方就是讲到我刚刚讲的这个 summary 哦，就是现在是12个 million，12.06 to be exact。当然这个数字呢 doesn't really matter to you or me， 因为我们没有要在2025年以前拜拜 ，OK， 我们没有要去 go see Jesus before 2025，so that number really doesn't really mean anything to us。但是呢，如果到2026年的1月1号，也就是 after 2025的时候，它就会打回原形到本来的多少500-600万，那个是其实是很容易达到的一个东西 ，OK？ 好，那我们就讲了 how to actually pay a state tax as you go。我刚刚讲，你如果要配一个100万的 state tax 的话，要么你可以有一笔现金100万啊。但是这年头，谁把100万放在自己孩子的口袋里？不是放到自己口袋里哦，记住了，放在你自己口袋里的话 ，that $1 million to be used for the tax payment also is taxable. OK，that's important. 那谁又把100万的现金会放在小孩子的身上？说到时候哪一天妈妈走了哈，然后爸爸走了以后，你就拿这100万去交税吧。哎，这年头100万有手上有100万的人都想要做400万的生意啊！你买100万的房子，有人用100万的现金去买吗？当然不会啊！你就是用20万的 down payment， 其他 financing 不是吗？对，这叫杠杆嘛，对不对？所以这个时候，那你可以 sell asset 啊，对。可是你 sell asset 的时候，你要 sell 掉1.75 million worth 的 asset to get the after tax money to pay the $1 million tax. Seriously？ 那 borrow 呢 ？borrow 有 borrowing cost， 对不对？那如果说是我们讲的 life insurance， 这就是我讲的无税杠杆。 你可以不买人寿保险，我不是说在这里你每一个人都要买人寿保险。OK，of course， 也不是什么人都买得到。我先讲，就是刚刚 answer 刚刚那一位医生的那个比较年轻的帅哥医生的这个问题，就是年纪轻的时候，虽然 DB 这件事情对他来讲可能 tax advantage 不是很大，但是年纪轻的时候，身体好的时候买人寿保险是非常好的一个杠杆。非常好的杠杆，而且是对抗estate tax 最好的利器，没有之一。我们在所有做 trust and estate planning 的时候，没有什么人是 trust and estate planning 不加上这个 life insurance 的这个杠杆来做的。做这样的话，等于是你全部用自己的钱，没有什么意思啊。你就是要用到一个无税的一个增加的一个杠杆来做到一个用别人家的钱来交我们家的税。That's it。OK， 所以你可以不用买人寿保险，但税还得交啊。那你就可以用其他的3个方法，看你想要用多少钱的结果去换一个1块钱的结果，对不对？是1.4块还是1.7块来解决一个1块钱的问题，还是用一个5毛或者3毛？像比如说年纪轻的就可以2毛3毛，年纪大一点5毛，但是还是一样是杠杆出来的一个无税的一个结果。OK， 那这个呢，就是我们常常刚刚讲的。怎么用别人家的钱来交我们家自己的税 ？How to use other people's money to pay for our tax bill that becomes due？ 这个地方呢，我们就是可以用一个 irrevocable 的 life insurance trust。好，我现在在这边先问一下大家，有买人寿保险过？以前有买过人寿保险的人举手。非常好，非常好，都很好，很好，好。好，没有买过人寿保险的不用举手，就跟我眨个左眼就可以了。OK， 好，有多少人买人寿保险的时候就是直接买了，而不是放在人寿保险不可撤销信托当中的？也蛮多的。OK， 也什么叫做直接买？就是上面就是我就直接付我的钱，然后呢我的 premium 直接付进去。然后直接买了，不管今天你是买的是25万的保险，还是500万的保险，很多人这样做的，包括很多我的建商的客户，就是专门在做房地产开发的，我自己的客户在做房地产开发的这种客户，以前都是这样子买的。那这样买有什么缺点呢？或者有什么好处？好了，有什么好处？方便，good job。还有什么好处？用 trust 也可以弄啊。哦，对，就是一个是方便嘛，一个是不用方便，对，不用 good job， 对，律师可能太贵了，对不对？
而且它那个 life insurance 和 irrevocable 有一个就是它是受法律保护的，就在法律层面上，跟你这个 irrevocable 在某些程度上也是作为我们医生是不会被笑的，因为它那个life insurance 是有 law， 所以
他说这个医生有 protection，life insurance 有 law 可以保护他。
insurance trust， 你不就是说我们的医生，也算是被人盯上的一个群体嘛？你到时候lawsuit的时候也是要
protected by the government， 听到没有？没有买过保险的人先听听看哦。protected by the government， 听到没有 ？protected by law，OK。他讲的都对，但是呢，它的缺点在于什么？刚刚他讲方便，不用律师费，为什么不成立 trust 来做？这些都对。而且说实在的，你光是要成立一个 trust 本身，你要想，你要去了解，你要去听课，你要跟 Tracy 谈个3个小时、5个小时，对不对？对不对？是不是？但是另一件事情就是，你如果没有用信托来做的话，你们知道 life insurance 买了以后会加到你的总体的总体的财产里面一起去算遗产税吗？哎，有没有人跟你讲过说啊 ，life insurance is all income tax free，all tax free， 所以你买了就完全是 tax free， 有没有？有听过对不对？那个是错的，这是错的。life insurance 什么 income tax free？ 如果有人跟你讲说 因为 life insurance tax free 的，你就问他一句话，你就说是什么 tax free， 是什么免税是免什么税？
我死了你不知道。
我很高兴你不是我妈妈，我很高兴你不是我妈妈，我妈妈已经有帮我这个准备好这个 tax 的事情，但是呢，当然很多人会说，这个东西反正我走了以后都是别人的事情，都不关我的事情，这就是为什么我们中国人常常讲的富不过三代，对不对？富不过三代，为什么富不过三代？因为很多人觉得这个东西以后不是我的事情。但是当然了，这个其实也是我们自己家里的钱，我们自己胼手胝足赚来的钱。你说这个重不重要？其实说实在是挺重要的。OK， 当然我不会 disagree with you， 每个人有不同的活法。但是呢，在这个地方呢，我们就可以看到，如果你用 life insurance 买来想要做一些杠杆，或者是家庭的保障，或者是变成你以后的无税退休金拿出来几倍的话，可以，完全都可以。但是一定要注意到，当我们的资产总体已经超过一个比较大的情况之下，我们必须一定要把我们的大额的人寿保险放在信托当中，而且必须什么？放在不可撤销的人寿保险当中。那刚刚这一位女士说，哎，等一下，那你刚本来是说人寿保险里面可以借钱，那放在人寿保险不可撤销信托里面，不是就不可借钱了吗？是不是？当然不是，当然不是。OK, it's basically you have your cake and eat it too. You have your cake and eat it too. 什么意思？就是说我在买人寿保险的时候，我为的是一个家庭保障，为的是一个无税的杠杆，为的是一个我以后的无税退休金。但是我在买的时候，我必须要先成立一个 irrevocable 的 life insurance trust。先不要管这个 trust 叫什么名字，它必须要是一个 irrevocable。为什么？因为我必须要把这一个 life insurance， 不管是它是100万的，还是200万，是500万，我要把这一个 asset 跟它划清界限，楚河汉界。我是我 ，trust 是 trust， 但是用 trust 来拥有这张保单 ，be the owner of that life insurance policy。Why？If there's anything happened to me, that policy becomes a big pile of money， 对不对？变成不管是500万还是800万，但是它一旦赔出来的时候，这笔钱它存在于信托当中，被保护，而且不会 mixed up with the other assets that I actually have in the entirety， 不会跟我其他的所有的资产混在一起去扣遗产税。遗产税，我不是说它需要 income tax， 我也没有说它需要 capital gain tax。In a sense， 你说人寿保险是不是 tax free？ 对，它只有在 income tax free 上面，还有 estate tax free 上面，但是它并没有做到什么？它并没有做到 estate tax， 而且 estate tax 是一个多大的 40% 的一个税啊，可不是一个小税啊。我没有说他需要谈 capital gain， 对他不需要 capital。
他是说到了最后 life insurance 的时候，资产很大的时候，你把它转进去，就变成是 trust， 然后 trust 以后，反正你就是这些 beneficiary 就随便用，但是他也不用交税了，是不是？
当然不是，谢谢各位。哎，如果是这样的话，那你应该什么资产都放进去呀、什么东西放进去就变成是
10万的律师费我给不起啊。
对，但是呢，在 capital gain tax 里面呢，如果你是讲的是 capital gain tax 的话 ，capital gain tax 你在这个里面，在 trust 里面，它没有，怎么讲呢？它没有的 ，OK。第一个，如果你是讲 trust 里面可不可以放 asset， 然后它是不是 capital gain tax free 的，那要看你这个 asset 有没有要卖掉，这是第一个。对，第一个，对不起，我们先不要 mix up，OK。但是如果你讲的是 life insurance 的话 ，life insurance 本身就是没有 capital gain tax 的，因为它不是一个 investment， 它不是一个 capital investment， 不是说我今天花了50万块钱去买一个房子，它变成了100万、200万，这叫做 capital investment。如果我卖掉这个房子200万的话，我中间赚的地方叫做 capital gain， 我需要交税。OK，life insurance 完全没有 capital gain 的问题，因为它不是 capital investment。这个 OK 吗
？OK 啊，这个就是我买 life insurance 的。
Good, very good, very good, very good。
life insurance 的 premium 100万，如果是100万，然后你放在 trust 里面，你每年的那个 maintenance fee 大概多少？
放在。
有。
大家好，我来重复一下他的问题哈。
可以把 trust 的 expense 介绍一下吗？
好，来，对，因为现场也有我的客户哈，我先讲一下，千万不要把 trust 跟 trust fund 混为一谈。我先讲清楚，不要把信托跟信托基金投资混为一谈。很多人，尤其是有一些香港的一些 terminology， 他说信托基金就是你1年要给我多少的管理费，有没有？维持费，我帮你弄一个信托，就是1年要收你里面总资产的几%作为管理费，都有听过对不对？来，如果是找我做信托，是真正的信托，不是 trust fund 的情况之下，它必须是一个我教你，你不需要另外付钱，你自己管，怎么管我教你，不需要另外付钱的。OK， 所以你说有没有什么 percentage 或什么的，这是没有的，对，没有的。正常的是没有的，我不知道他用什么其他的名目告诉你，但是你来找我，我教你怎么管是不需要的。OK， 可能是今天的时间有点那个短哦，所以但是呢，这个地方呢，其实当然大家都可以来，我准备了蛮多东西啦，但是呢，这个地方呢，就是很重要的地方，就是你怎么把钱放进去是有很多讲究的，有很多名头的，你怎么把钱放进去，究竟你是要用赠与税每一年 user or loser 的赠与税免税额，还是要用你的这个 lifetime exemption 的这个 amount， 还是要用借钱，用自己的名义或者自己公司的名义借进去你的信托里面，这都是有讲究的。OK， 这个很重要。这个呢，你们这个都不用拍哦，都已经在你们的 handout 里面有了。OK， 因为今天时间的关系，我很多东西呢没有办法很快的跟你们说到，但是呢，这个地方呢，我可以跟你们讲一下，很快的讲到说，如果是属于自己要做信托，但是又想要把里面的钱拿出来，变成自己无税退休金的话，这个就是一个很好的一个 example。这是一个医生哦，他有2个小孩，然后呢，我们说1年16000的一个赠与税免税额，2个小孩就是16000乘以2，32000嘛。那32000的情况，他付10年就好，就是存10年。但是呢，到他这个67岁退休的时候，他可以拿出来1年48000，也就是总共差不多要100万，96万的这个 income tax free。当然也是 capital gain tax free 的哦 ，income tax free、capital gain tax free 的一个 retirement income cash flow stream 回到自己身上，但是呢，到最后走的时候还可以再把自己的本金等于用 tax benefit 的情况，在大概90%都可以拿回来 ，OK， 也就是1块钱进去，大概4块钱出来，完全免税 ，OK， 这个就是它的这个 example， 好。那这个地方呢 ，social lifetime 这个刚刚 Cindy 也介绍过了，这个 handout 呢都在你们手上的这一份这个 folder 里面都有详细的。那但是呢，就是主要来讲就是跟我联络，因为并不是每一个信托都适合每一个人。好，那这个地方呢，我就直接，因为时间的关系，我们就跳过。那大家可以欢迎跟我联络。OK， 扫这个码呢，没有抽 iPad， 但是呢可以抽那个空气炸锅，因为他已经送 iPad， 送别的东西吗？对不对？所以呢，你可以扫这个码，然后欢迎跟我们联络。我们主要呢就是提供非常量体裁衣1对1的这种服务给大家，尤其是对于你们家，尤其我可以帮你们 review 你们以前做的 trust agreement， 你们的 will， 还有你们曾经做过的东西 for free， 因为我一定要让你知道你到底做的东西是什么，这个东西是对我们的财务规划跟安全保障很有用的。 好吗？谢谢各位 ，Thank you。
谢谢 Jessie。就大家有好多问题，我们就由于时间关系就不问问题了，大家可以联系 Tracy， 他会为您提供量身定做的省税计划，这个是最重要的啊。So our last speaker is not listed, but it's very important that we stay here at the busy Friday night is because we want to save tax, and we're going to learn more tax saving strategy from Elaine Yu. Elaine is a New York State certified CPA. She got her master's degree from CUNY, and she founded her CPA firm at Grenade. And she currently is the president of Chinese American Society of CPA, and she is an expert for small business, small medium-sized business, and high income tax planning expert. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Zhu. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Elaine. My Chinese name is Yan Ling. I think a lot of people here, maybe you already know me. So since we're already 9 o'clock, so I will save some time for you, but I'll give you the most important information tonight. Okay, with the slides. So can we have a survey? Does everybody think you pay too much tax? Yeah. Of course. So then today I'm going to give you some information before the end. Maybe you can save some more taxes. Okay? So if you prefer, I can maybe explain something in Mandarin, so which maybe will be better to understand for some terminologies. Okay? Yeah. I know we have some non-Chinese speaking audience, but I will make sure you will get something. Okay? Yeah.那我先讲一下我自己的 background， 就是在PPT 没 set up 之前，我呢是2009来从中国大陆湖南来到纽约，来这边呢就说我是读的是会计的 master， 然后后来过了4年我就过了3年毕业以后，然后我拿到那个 CPA degree，CPA license， 后来我就自己开业。我事务所呢是在 Greenock， 我也是住在 Greenock。我呢自己呢我有6个小孩，我有I have 6 children, 4 boys and 2 girls. And Dr. Yin is my OB. Dr. Yin is here. 您是我的 OB， 我的6个小孩都是他帮我照顾、帮我接生的。So yeah, so I'm very proud. You know, every child is healthy and they're happy. So I'm also a marathon runner. So I just finished my New York City marathon this past Sunday. Yeah. So my goal is I want to run more right now so that I can spend less time to go to the doctor's office when I'm home. So maybe if everybody like me, maybe you don't have business, right? Okay, so let's start. Okay, this is me, okay? Elaine, okay. And this this is the real life of myself. Yeah, last Sunday, yeah. Okay, so I go to run every morning and then in the neighborhood, so I know every corner of Greenock. Yeah, so maybe I pass by your house, maybe sometimes. Okay. And so let's go to the materials, okay? So the first one is the due date. So I think everybody should know the due date because it's very important. Don't miss the due date. So the biggest deadline is for April 18, 2023. That's the personal income tax due date. So you need to file extension or file the return. And also the other due date, extended due date, estimated tax due date. So just follow with your CPA closely to make sure everything is filed on time. So this is simple, right? The standard deduction, everything is adjusted because of CPI. Yes. And then next one, this is the new tax law. Okay, maybe it can apply maybe to the young doctors or someone who still have the student loan. Yeah. Okay. So right now the federal government, they have the new law to have the student loan debt relief. So everyone, if you have student loan and then just do the application right now, the link is in the slide, okay? And you can maybe relieve about 20,000 or 10,000, depends on your income. So your income, if for a single person, need to be 125,000 in 2021 or 2022, okay? If it's a couple, it's 250,000. So if you are within this income threshold, you can apply. It's very simple, just 5 minutes. You don't need to open an account, just about fill your information, your loan number, so then submit. So then maybe after a few months, your loan balance will be lower. Okay, and this is applied to the loan you get before June 30, 2022. If you get a loan in August 2022 or July 2022, not applicable. And if you get a loan relief, so will it taxable? No, this time it's not taxable. Usually the loan, if you get a debt relief, whatever. For example, you have credit card debt. You talk with the credit card company, they settle down for you. So then you have 50,000 credit card debt. Then you only need to pay 10,000. The $40,000 is taxable, but for the student loan relief, it's not taxable. So it's very important. So you really get tax-free money. Okay. So make sure if you have friends, if you have your next generation who is in medical school, yeah, just take the chance. So the due date to file the application is December 31st, 2023. So by the end, by the year end of next year. Okay. So the next slide is regarding. This is the most recent law is Inflation Reduction Act. Okay. So this law gave us a lot of new credits. They relieve some of the restrictions. Okay, the most important part is for the clean energy. For clean energy, vehicles, home improvements. Okay, so the first one is non-business energy credits. If you, for example, install the insulation, which is can save energy because you make your house more energy efficient, and the doors, the windows, you can get up to $500 for this credit for your tax return. There's no income limitation. I know a lot of doctors income is very high, but this one no income limitation. It's a credit, okay? It's a no deduction. I think everybody knows, right? What's the difference between credit and deduction? The credit is $1 to $1 deduction to your tax liability, but for the deduction is $1 to $1 to your taxable income. For example, if your tax bracket is 37%, if you have tax deduction for $100, you save $37 tax. But if you have $100 credit, you save $100 tax. Okay, so that's the difference. So this is credit. So the second one is residential clean energy. This is for the solar. Okay, solar system. Some people install the solar on their house, so they get 30%. Originally, this law is going to expire by last year, but the Inflation Reduction Act, they extended the law to another 10 years, to 2032. Okay, if there's no change, so you still have 10 years to install the solar and get 30%. And also you also get up to $5,000 on your New York State return for the solar energy. So for example, you spend $30,000 on the solar energy, your credit will be $15,000 plus $5,000 on New York State. It's $20,000. So it's a lot, yeah. So you get the solar. And then the third one is for the EV, electronic vehicle. So they remove the limitation. So that this is very important, okay? The first one, because right now Tesla is very popular, right? A lot of people know, I buy Tesla, but then, according to the old law, you cannot get credit. The $7,500 credit is not eligible for, because Tesla, they sold already more than 200 million of the cars. But this one, they relieve the limitation on the number of vehicles. So this time, so Tesla is eligible for the EV credit. But they get more limitations, okay? They relieve one limitation, and by the add another limitation. So the second limitation is the price, the retail price of the vehicle will be $55,000 or less, or $80,000 if an SUV. So for Tesla, for example, Model 3 is in the $55,000 level. So when you buy Model 3, so you need to watch out your price, your final price. Don't be over 55,000. But if you buy a Model S, it's SUV, so it's 80,000. So when you don't add too much of the the advance, like studying whatever, because they have a lot of premium package for you. So and then the next requirement is for income. Maybe some people they don't qualify for. So then maybe you can have your children buy it. Maybe, or maybe you can buy for your business. Yeah. Okay. Some ideas. And then the vehicles need to be placed in service from next year, okay, January 1st, 2023. But if you buy vehicles after August 6th, 2022, and before this year end, they still have certain rules. Maybe you can still get some credits. And then they add another credit if you buy second-hand a used EV vehicle. For example, you buy from a dealer, you buy second-hand Tesla. You still get the credit. The credit up to $4,000, and they added the AGI limitation. They added the price. The second-hand vehicle need to be $25,000 or less. So maybe if your children they are grown-ups, maybe you can consider to buy some second-hand EV, which maybe some like Ford, whatever other brand. Yeah. Number 5 is for the refilling station. For example, if you buy a Tesla vehicle, the EV, you need to install the charger in your garage. So if you install the charger, you still can get 30% of the cost as a credit. So just don't forget. So every small part together, if you add part 1, part 2, part 3, maybe each of them will save only $1,000, $500. But if you have 10 items which can add it together, maybe this year you pay $20,000 or less tax. So everybody wants to keep more money in your own pocket, because we will spend a lot of energy to build up the business, and then spend a lot of time to serve our clients, right? Number 6. Number 6 is also important because the Inflation Reduction Act, they gave IRS $80 billion for the to fund the IRS budget. So the $80 billion will be used for taxpayer service for $3 billion, and then enforcement, which means they will get more audit because they are going to enforcement the law. Okay, so just to be careful. So and the enforcement $46 billion. So which means if the Congress gave $40 billion to the IRS, how much do you want to get back? Maybe double, triple, right? So that will increase the audit rate for the upper middle class and the higher end class. Okay, operation $25 billion, business system, software $5 billion. This reduction. Okay, the next one. This is also very important. PDET. This is New York State and New York City new law. I think does everyone know the New York State PDET here? You don't know? I think your accountant already told you right last year, right? Yeah. Okay. So in 2021, New York State started apply the New York State PDET. So the PDET stands for pass-through entity tax. So why the government wants to give the taxpayer PDET? Because the federal level, they have the SORT limitation. Your federal, your real estate tax, your income tax, together, your deductions are limited to 10,000. This is called SORT limitation. So for the state government, they want to relieve the taxpayer from this SORT limitation. So that's why they gave the PDET. How this works? For example, you have a New York State pass-through entity. Okay, it needs to be pass-through entity. which means mostly partnerships, S corps. You have pass-through entity, so then you have taxable income, for example, 1 million. Okay, so then you pay a PTET tax. It's, the tax rate is 6.85%. Okay, so for the 6.85%, so then you will get a deduction on the federal level. So then on your K1, then this will be on your business return. This will be business expense. So then your K1 will be lower. So then on your federal return, you pay less tax. But on the New York State return, this tax paid will be added back because you will get a credit on your New York State return, $1 to $1. For example, you pay $50,000 PTET to New York State. Then on your personal return, you get a $50,000 credit. So it's, if you have $100,000 tax, then you get this 50,000 credit. So then your balance is going to be 50,000. This is called a PTET. So the requirement for the PTET is need to be a New York State pass-through entity, partnership as well. Okay. So this is New York State, and then last month New York City also released the new law. New York City also have a PTET. Okay. So how does New York City PTET works? So New York City PTET is follow New York State PTET. The logic is the same, okay? But they also have difference. The difference is New York State PTET, they add more requirements. It needs to be a pass-through entity tax. The first one, if it's a partnership, it's going to be in a regular partnership, not a public traded partnership. Okay, now they don't have IP or whatever. It's a private partnership. And then you must have at least one partner or member that is a New York City resident. New York City resident. For example, if you have a partnership, you have two doctors practice together. If both of the doctors, one lives in Long Island, the other lives in Westchester, they're not New York City resident, okay? So it is not eligible for. But if one lives in Long Island, the other one lives in Manhattan, so the partner living in Manhattan is a New York City resident, so this partnership qualifies for, okay? At least one partner or one member need to be New York City resident, okay? How about S corps? Okay, I know a lot of practice, practitioners, they use S corp, right? PC, the S corp, okay? How does the S corp mean? S corp also, they add more requirements. This is for New York City PTET, okay? Don't be confused, New York City. So the first requirement, of course, you need to meet New York State PTET requirement. And then they added the second limitation, has only state resident individual shareholders, okay? So all your shareholders need to be New York City resident. So if you have one owner, this owner needs to be New York City resident. If you have two owners, three owners, all three need to be New York City resident. So that's why if you practice in Manhattan, Flushing, wherever, if you live in Long Island, Westchester, or other counties, not five boroughs of New York City, you cannot take the New York City PTET. The PTET rate for the New York New York City. The New York City is 4.876% of your entity's taxable income. This is the PTET you pay. Okay, New York State is 68.5%. If you didn't opt into New York State PTET in 2022, then you cannot participate New York City PTET for 2022. But you can do 2023. So if you want to opt into New York State PTET, you have to opt into New York State PTET first. So they are together. And the platform is in the same platform. In the same New York State account, you have the separate. Yeah.
Say for instance, my office is in Brooklyn.
Okay.
I have an apartment in my office upstairs, but I live on Long Island.
No, not eligible for.
Not eligible.
Yeah. So what entity do you have? Is S corp or partnership?
No, I'm single.
So you're
Solo.
a solo. Okay. No, not eligible for.
Not eligible.
Yeah, not
You
eligible.
don't have an apartment in Brooklyn.
No, because when you file your personal return, because they look at your IT 201, okay? This is New York State income tax return. You need to pay New York City tax. If you don't pay New York City tax, you are not a city resident. Then you are not eligible for New York City PTET. But if you are solo, you are not eligible for New York State PTET. It needs to be a pass-through entity. It's not a solo, is an individual. Okay? So if you practice medical, okay, never use a solo. Because use a solo, you don't have limited liability protection for your creditors. Okay? Yeah. So at least you incorporate or organize a PLC. I'm sorry?
Incorporated for 45 years.
Oh, you're incorporated, okay? But you don't live in New York City, okay? So.
Yes, I live in my apartment in New York City.
But do you pay New York City tax on your New York State return? That's very important. Huh? Hello?
On my apartment?
No, on your personal return. They check your personal return. Yeah, if you don't pay, then you are not eligible for, okay? But if you have a partnership, one partner is a New York City resident, the other partner is not, is still eligible for. So this is the most recent new law.
If I already enrolled the state, is it a separate enrollment for the city?
Yes, it's a separate. You need to make the election.
Okay.
You need to click. Oh, I want to enroll. Yeah. So it's like the New York State PD on the website. So it's still in the same platform. You can make the election right now for 2022. You can make the election right now until March 15, 2023. So which means before you file your extension, you still have a chance to make the New York City PTET. But the requirement is you have elected into New York State PTET. Because New York State PTET, the election deadline was September 15, 2022, for the tax year 2022. If you already missed the New York State PTET, you cannot opt in the New York City PTET for 2022. But you can do for 2023. That's why we took the tax law, the update right now. If you find out you didn't take the advantage in 2022, then you need to make an appointment with your CPA as soon as possible. So then you can take action, to get a chance for next year. If you don't take action, you will miss year by year, so then you don't get a tax benefit. So this is for PTET. Okay, so do you have any questions regarding, because there's two parts, the Inflation Reduction Act and the PTET. I think it's very, very related to everybody here. Yeah, it's very useful, and maybe you still have a chance to take action before the year end.
I have a stupid question. My accountant did that, so I don't even know I did the PTET or not. So how should I check?
You can ask them.
Okay.
Yeah, ask your, yeah, because if you elected to opt into the PTET, you are required to pay the estimate tax, which means every quarter. For example, your PTET tax is $10,000. Every quarter you are supposed to pay $2,500. If you don't pay by quarterly, they give you a penalty. Yeah, it's the same as income tax. But for the New York City PTET for 2022, you can just make the election. You are not required to make the estimate payment because it is the first year. They give you the way. You don't need to pay the estimate tax quarterly. Okay? Yeah. So I think I know every doctor, every physician is very busy. Okay, every day you need to meet with your clients. After the regular work hour, you need to deal with insurance, your staff, management, right? But it's, I always suggest just to try to connect with your CPA, as much as possible. Try your best. Because every time you call them or you send them an email, if you have any questions, you get attention, and then whatever question you have, it will be resolved. If you don't resolve sometimes, so you don't get a chance. So I'm going to the next step, okay? What time now? Okay. Okay. So the next one is 1499K, okay? This is still not a final yet. The IRS said a lot of people will receive 1099K by next January because they made the law. For example, you use Venmo or Zelle. You pay somebody some dollar, $600 or more, maybe you receive 1099K. if you receive a 1099K, maybe this is taxable. If you don't report, maybe you'll get a letter from the IRS. So IRS didn't say how they will treat the 1099K, okay? They didn't say, so I don't know how to deal with this. Don't be surprised if next year, I said, I paid $1,000 to my friend because she paid something for me, I paid something for my friend, and then she paid me so that I get a 1099K. How do I report? Yeah, because threshold is very low. I don't have an answer yet, but this maybe it's going to be next year. It's going to be an issue. Yeah.
So would that suggest better just pay check instead of with Venmo?
Yeah, personally, yeah. If it's a personal expense, yeah, you can pay by check. Yeah.
Okay, so no more Venmo. How about Zelle?
Because if you pay by Zelle, they also give you 1099K.
Who will give it?
So
The
just,
Zelle.
so it just do
Zelle, yeah, or Venmo, or PayPal, yeah.
Okay, so
Just the third-party platform, they give out 1099K. Yeah, for 2022, that's the IRS sale. Maybe next January, because every January they give January and February they give out 1099, and he say 1099K for the prior year.
So it's cumulative? I mean, you can pay like, 1,500, you can pay 500 3 times.
Cumulative.
Cumulative.
Yeah, yeah. If you pay this, if you receive a 3 payment, 500 each, right, from Venmo or from Zelle, right, or maybe you get a 1,500 and 99K. So if it's personal expense, you can try to use your personal checkbook, or have your friends pay you by check, or pay you by cash. Yeah. So to avoid the potential problems. Yeah. So. So maybe, I think the IRS will give us some solution for this, okay? For example, you will make a statement, whatever, tell them, this is personal expense, but you still have to report. Sometimes reporting is not equal to pay tax, okay? Reporting is different from pay tax. Yeah, maybe it's a reporting issue, but it's not taxable for some situations, okay? Yeah. So, regarding Inflation Reduction Act and the PTET, the tax planning strategy is you may consider to order some EV or electronic vehicle if you want to upgrade your vehicle to save energy. You get credit. The credit is $7,500 if you are eligible for on federal level. Okay, New York State maybe still have something, and then for the PTET, just take the advantage if you are eligible for, because for any PTET you pay, you save tax on federal level. On New York State and New York City level, no tax saving. Okay, so the next item is the capital gain, okay? I think Tracy also talked about, so the capital gain is, so the planning strategy for capital gain is if you have stock which is in a loss and you already have capital gain year to date, so then you can sell some of the, the stocks underwater to offset the capital gain. This is the year-end planning you can do, yeah. So just look at your year-to-date summary to say how much capital gain you have. Then, because right now the stock market is not good, maybe you still have underwater stocks. If you don't, if you don't think that they will come back, so just sell them to save some tax. Yeah. And for the capital gain, there's another planning strategy. For example, if you have a parents, okay, they only have Social Security income, okay, or whatever. So then if they only have capital gain, long-term capital gain is tax-free. This is a planning strategy. If the family or the individual they only have long-term capital gain, it's tax-free. So you can use this strategy to save tax. But how to use it, it depends on your specific tax situation, and then you need to talk with your CPA.
How do you define long-term versus short-term?
Oh, it's 1 year. If you hold a 1 year or less, it's short-term. If you hold more than 1 year, it's long-term. Yeah. It's a long-term, short-term.
For deadlines, for tax habits, if the corporate holds the stock, the deadline it's not December. It's like
it's a S corp or a partnership or it's S corp. Then it's going to pass through to your personal or your K1. It's still long-term and short-term. Yeah, Partnership, the same thing. They will not change, you know, the characters of the gain. Because capital gain is not ordinary income. It's a, you know, if it's a long term, they get a favorite tax rate. The maximum tax rate is 20%. It doesn't matter how much income you have, 2 million, 3 million, 10 million. Your long-term capital gain is 20%, not 37%, okay? Yeah.
What is MFJ?
Oh, it's married filing jointly. Yeah. That's a filing status. If you are a couple, then you file jointly. Yeah. So the married filing separately. So we use MFS. If married filing jointly, we use MFJ. Yeah. Okay. Okay, retirement contribution. So just make sure you maximize. Okay. Yeah. So whatever retirement you have, maximize. Look at your W2. Look at your retirement settings. Make sure. Yeah. Because you still have time. You still have about 2 months to make the adjustment. If you look at next January, you cannot change it for 2022. Just watch out. These are the maximum amount you can defer. Here, there's another one is HSA. I want to mention. For the HSA, I think doctors should know better maybe because HSA is eligible for, you know, if you have a high deductible plan, you can open HSA. Then you can make the contribution. So any capital gain, whatever appreciation in the HSA is tax-free. It's a tax-free account, okay? Yeah, so the HSA. If you have FSA, it's a flexible spending account. For FSA, it's another account. If you use it or lose it. If you don't use, then it's going to be lose it. It's cut by the year. HSA is your saving account, your investment account. They can accumulate your assets. So if you have money in your HSA, make sure you do investment in your account. Okay. For example, you have $10,000, $20,000, $100,000. Don't just leave the cash in the account. Okay. Always remember, because any appreciation in the HSA is tax-free. Yeah. Child tax credit, they come to the older rule. Okay. So the $2,000 per child for 18 years or under, and the income limit 400,000. Okay, 1,400 refundable. So dependent tax credit also come back to the older rule, because in 2021 they have gave a lot of credit, but 2022 come to the older rule. $3,000 you can use $3,000 expense for one qualified child. $6,000 for more than two. If you have two, there's something wrong. It's more than two qualifying for more than two. Yeah, for more than one. Yeah, that's correct. If you have two, like for myself, all my children are under 13. Okay, okay. I will have 6. I still can only use 6,000. Okay. If you have 1 under 13, you can use 3,000. If you have 2 under 13, you can use 2. I have 6. Everybody's under 13. I still only can use 6. Okay, maybe I pay 60,000 a year, but I only use 6. But then I get a $1,200 credit, 20%. Yeah. So that's the difference. Educator, if your family you have educators from K to 12th grade, so they can take $300 deduction to deduct for AGI. Is above the line. Okay, there's no income limitation. Medical expense, 7.5% of your AGI. Anything over this threshold, you can take deduction. For example, you had $10,000 medical expense. Then your AGI is 100,000. Then how much you can deduct? It's 7.5%. Anything over 7.5% of the 100,000, which means any dollar from 7,500 over 7,500 is deductible. You can deduct 2,500. This is applicable to a lot of seniors, okay? Because seniors, the income, the AGI is not high, and then they have a lot of medical expense. So if you have parents, maybe when they file the return, just try to get a deduction. Yeah. For the young people or what doctors sitting here, maybe not eligible for because your income is so high. Yeah. And you're very healthy. Business meal. For 2022, 2021 is very fast. Okay, 2022 is still 100% deductible. Business meal is you need food from restaurant. Okay, food from restaurant. For example, maybe you buy food for your employees, or you go out dinner with your partners or with your business partners or employees. It's 100% deductible. The food from restaurant. Okay, this is for 2022.
Before it's 50%.
Yeah, before it's 50%. So 2021, 2022 is 100%. Okay, only the 2 years. 2023 is going to come back 50%. Yeah, so that's why the tax law is changed every year. They change every year. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah. Because that said, you eat half of the food. That's why your own part is not deductible. It's reasonable, right? That's a personal expense. Even though I stay at home, I still need to eat, right? So that's why it's not deductible. It's a personal expense. Okay? So sometimes the tax law makes sense. It's related to your life, to your everyday life.
Is there a limit how much you can spend on?
No, not the only requirement is it needs to be a business meal, okay, not a personal. It's a purpose. It's a business purpose, okay? Yeah, you need to have someone you talk about your business. You are doing the business. That's it. Yeah. So a lot of people ask me how to document the business meal because everybody is afraid to get an audit, right? So when you get an audit, what do they ask for? So they ask for a copy of the receipt. They ask for who you had a dinner with, had a lunch with, what time, where. Okay, it's just a 4W. Who, when, where, how. Okay, 4 Ws. So if you get all the 4 Ws ready, you're okay. Yeah. Net operating loss, okay? Net operating loss. If you have a business or entity, you had a net operating loss in 2018, 2019, 2020 for these 3 years because you didn't run business good. You had $100,000 business loss. So then, how much you can deduct? You can only deduct 80%, okay, of this loss. For example, you have 100,000, you can only take 80,000 deduction for the NOL. Anything remaining will carry over indefinitely on your return. Okay? So regarding the carryover, I want to catch back for the capital loss from investment, right? If you have capital loss, short-term capital loss, long-term capital loss, so they will carry over every year indefinitely on your return. Yeah. So this is the capital loss carryover, NOL loss carryover, so they are indefinitely. So next one. But if you have operating loss from 2018 and from 27 and before years, you can take deduction 100%. This is for the past 3 years. Okay, so then I think this is maybe my last page. Okay, yeah. So Tracy talked about the year-end planning, and Cindy also talked about year-end planning. Okay, I only give you some very useful, practical ones. Okay, they give you the high end. I give you something like you can use for tomorrow. Okay, that's the difference. Okay, I give you something you can use today or tomorrow. Okay, because tax law every year changes. Okay, first of all, okay, make an appointment with your CPA before the year end as soon as possible. Before Thanksgiving, before Christmas. Okay, don't after Christmas. Okay, maybe you cannot reach them. Okay, at the latest before Christmas. So then you also need to talk with your financial planner, okay, to look at if do you want to set up a DB plan for 1K? Did you maximize your DB benefits, contribution, SEP-IA? Yeah, this you need to talk in advance because for any DB plan, whatever plan, you need to adopt within the year. Okay, if you talk it with them next year, maybe it's not workable. So the second one, maximize, okay, whatever contribution you can do. Number 3 is important, okay? If you have young children, if you have children in college, or you have young children like me, like 3 years, okay? I always encourage my clients to make the 529 education plan contribution because the contribution is only deductible in New York State. It's only $10,000 for a couple, $5,000 for a single individual. But the most important part for 529 plans, you get tax-free capital gain appreciation when you use the money to pay education. A lot of friends ask me, oh, if my children get grants or whatever, I cannot use the money. At least you can get the money out for your retirement. It's still your money, right? You only pay tax, yeah, but it's still a good investment because you don't pay tax right now. Every doctor is with high income when you are practice, but when you are retired, your income will be lower. You can manage your income at that time, so you will be in a much lower tax bracket. You can still take up. Maybe some people don't agree with my point, okay? But that's what I think. Yeah. Okay. The following one is, okay, if you have FSA, submit the reimbursement as soon as possible, because if you submit after the year, maybe you cannot get reimbursement, then you will lose your money. The next one for the IPP number, because right now a lot of people, because of the the internet, whatever, the safety issue, a lot of people, the social security number, they're lost, or get scammed, right? So then, if in this case you can apply an IPP from IRS, if you have an IPP, so then this will protect your social security number. Anybody without your IPP cannot submit a return for you, okay? So sometimes taxpayer apply for IPP. Sometimes taxpayer don't apply IPP, but IRS give you one because they think somebody maybe try to use your social security number to file a return on your behalf, try to get a tax refund. So that's why they give you IPP. So if you receive a letter from IRS, give you the IPP, you need to keep good record of that IPP, and then give it to your CPA as soon as possible. Because without the IPP, we cannot file the tax return for you. Yeah. And then the next one is going to, charitable donation, okay? So if you want to support some charitable organization, you can donate before the year end, so then take the advantage. Because if you donate, instead of donating next January, it's better to donate in December. Because if you donate in January, you need to wait 1 year to get a tax credit, the deduction. And then most of the time you will forget the deduction. You forget, I made the contribution, right? So it's better to make it in December or November. Then next one is, sell the stocks if you don't think. The last one, estimate payment. If you don't pay enough money, you get a penalty, okay? So this is the year-end planning. Okay, this is for your information. So IRS has very good website. They give you the online account. So since IRS is difficult to get connected, okay? Even we as tax professional, we need to wait 1 hour, 2 hours, a long hour to get connected. So anything, if you can do your business with IRS in your account, then create an account. It takes you 5 minutes to create an account. You can see how much tax you owe, how much tax you pay. You can get a transcript in 1 minute, the tax transcript. Because sometimes you need a transcript for, for financing or for some school application. So you can get a transcript very soon, okay? It's very useful. If you have any, any tax notice, you will receive in the account very soon. It's sooner than the mail. So IRS online account. IPP, okay? If you think you need an IPP, you can apply from the IRS. If you have an IPP, you will receive a letter every year, or you can see your IPP in your online account. The IPP is changing every year. It's a 6-digit number. Okay, so, this is me. Okay, this is my office in Green Neck. Paperless, okay, very clean, okay? So we are a paperless office from 2017, yeah. So I don't keep papers. Everything is cloud-based. So we work with clients in New York State, in Connecticut, New Jersey, California, China mainland, Hong Kong. Yeah. So these are our clients located. So because we are a paperless office, we don't need clients to come into office. We do Zoom meetings, we do online portal. It's very convenient. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's my presentation. If you want to scan my QR, I don't have iPad, I don't have coaching, but I can give you help, okay, whenever you need. That's me. So if you have any questions, even though you are with another CPA, you just want to get a second opinion, okay, you can scan my QR code, okay? It's always, I'm here to give you advice and give you information. I'm not here to sell my business to you, okay? So just feel free to contact me whenever you have a question. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So I hope you learn the strategy for tax saving. It's not CME tonight, but it's also important, right? So just to let you know, ACAP is non-profit. If you have too much money, you can also donate to us. And one more important information is, if you are ACAP member, thank you for your support. If you're not, consider to join us ACAP member, and we have year-round events, including health fair and annual galas, science competition, etc. And if you have another topic you want to listen next time, contact us so we can invite this expert to discuss about how to practice better medicine and how to manage your practice. Thank you.
So I just want to add one more point. I'm the president of the Chinese American Society of CPA. So if you want to know more CPAs, come to our gala on December 9th. It's in New Mulan. So we'll have an annual gala on December 9th. So welcome everyone to join us. So you have connection with more CPAs, you get more resource. It's a great platform. Okay, every CPA is with a lot of experience. We have a lot of CPA practitioner members. So come join us. Yeah, welcome. If you have any question, just contact me. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
哦，没什么，我就一样的。如果大家如果有更多的钱，等妹妹给那个。
好的，谢谢大家。
Hi, Elaine. Hey, so if I really want to take your offer on the second opinion,
Okay.
when is a good time? Because that's a very generous,
Oh, anytime is a good time. Yeah.
I don't want you to come to me at a most inconvenient time. So.
I work every day from Monday to Friday. Yeah, so we can have a Zoom meeting. You can show me your tax return. You don't need to send me your tax return. You can share your screen with me.
I'm not very good at it.
Okay.
If you look in person things.
Oh yeah, if you want to come to me, yeah. I mean, bring that.
So I look forward to it.
Okay, yeah. If you want, you can bring your tax return, whatever. Yeah, I'm fine. You can make them